Podcasting and streaming from the Sugar Shack Studios in Texas, USA. It's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, Kevin Fitzpatrick on diagnostic software to help you reduce your car costs. This ought to be good. You'll hear my thoughts on a week with the 2024 Cadillac Escalade. You may know it as the Escalade. And what folks from the other side of the tracks get to experience in the world of super luxury SUVs. And we have today's news headlines, among other things. So we got lots to get to today on our live broadcast. Howdy, along with Mike, Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday morning. It is a bit chilly out there, and I want to remind everybody that next week at this time, we'll be broadcasting, well, not at this time, because we're going to have a delayed start to our broadcast next week to coincide with the opening of the Houston Automotive Show on Saturday. So instead of being with you at 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll be with you at 10 o'clock in the morning. Still the same 3-hour show, just a little bit delayed.
Time delayed,
yeah, on purpose. So, at any rate, and if you haven't heard, Automotive Show opens Wednesday at 11 a.m., Wednesday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's the Houston Automotive Show at NRG Center. It's the yearly new car show, if you will, along with boats.
Yeah.
I'm really not a boat guy. I did own a boat at one time, and as they say, yes, it is a hole in the water that you pour money into, and it never stops. It's much worse than a car.
I had 3 boats.
Yeah, at the same time?
No. Over my life, I've had 3 of them that I actually owned, and I have to concur with you.
Did you ever go on a 3-hour tour?
I almost sunk once, yes.
And his name was Gilligan.
No.
But at any rate.
I had a catamaran.
Did you really?
Yep.
In New York?
No, this is in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma?
There's no water in Oklahoma.
No, there's lots of lakes in Oklahoma. But
yeah, there really is.
Yeah, they're all dried up now.
No, we used to go down to Lake Texoma.
Oh,
and,
Texoma?
Right on the Texas border.
Texas-Oklahoma border.
Okay, well, there you go.
It's where the name comes from.
I guess so. Well, I don't visit the parts. You know, that's kind of home of the Dallas Cowboys. Have you seen all of the hate and funny stuff?
Hilarious.
On Facebook about
I like the interview where Jerry Jones is crying.
Do you know that the Green Bay Packers have won more
in
playoff
that stadium,
games in that stadium
than the Cowboys have? By like 2, I think.
Well, at any rate, so we've had our laugh.
I feel kind of bad for him, because
I don't.
And this afternoon at 3:30, the Houston Texans play the Baltimore Ravens.
Go Texans.
Yeah, buddy.
So we're kind of looking forward to that. All right. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's go over to our Zoom call this morning. Kevin Fitzpatrick with Opus IVS. Kevin, good morning to you. It's good to see you, my friend.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And Kevin, first of all, what is Opus IVS?
Opus IVS, we're a diagnostic and scanning company, so we're working within the mechanical and the collision side of the business. So we're providing technicians with both vehicle tools to diagnose vehicles on the mechanical side, and also technical support. So we maintain a number of technical support centers across the U.S. with about 100 master technicians, and we're engaging those technicians with these repair shops in order to diagnose vehicles, because these things are so complex today that most technicians need that additional resource in order to get to the fix reasonably quickly.
Well, all I can think of is you must have a staff that's constantly working on your program, because every new car is different in its own way.
That's exactly it. We're always hiring, we're always bringing in new talent, but we're also always sending our guys back for training. It's a constant battle to stay on top of this stuff.
How can diagnostic software help us save money?
Well, because honestly, again, when these cars were I'm going to say less intelligent, the technician had a real challenge, chasing all this stuff down. They needed, in fact, more tools. They were, on top of vacuum and dialing into basic engine. These cars are highly intuitive right now. I mean, we're talking about adding additional digits now to trouble codes, because there's literally a code for everything. So when you drive a vehicle, I mean, it's going to give a technician a direction to go in, really. So, I mean, they're getting smarter.
Well, I have to tell you, so my 2001 Corvette, I guess in 2001 it was the latest state of the art when it comes to all of the computer stuff that's
Back
in it.
then it was, yeah.
Back then. But today, obviously, things have advanced.
It's dumb as a box of rocks.
Yeah, pretty much. But it still can't run without its computer.
Oh, true.
So there is that. And I've actually kind of been thinking about it. And, that always gets me in trouble when I think. Wow. I don't even know if you call that
That's
anymore.
what we smell.
Yeah, that's right. The brain
burning acidic odor.
Yeah. I've been thinking, I don't think that thing has ever been on a dynamometer. I don't know as if it's ever had.
You don't think Greg ever had that on a
I don't think so. And I would like to, at some point, maybe in the next year, if I stop buying other stuff for it, that I put it on a dyno and have a dyno tune. What is a dyno tune?
A dyno tune actually is going to gauge the rear wheel horsepower or the actual wheel horsepower of the vehicle. So, and if you're talking about a GM, and especially with an LS engine, I mean, these things are highly. You can tune them. You can tune them by changing the pulse width to the injectors as it relates to the air coming in, and you can get more horsepower out of them. So a lot of guys are tuning these things. You have to be careful though with your state laws, because a lot of times you're putting yourself in jeopardy when you go for your state inspection, because oftentimes you won't pass post tune.
Yeah, well, so I don't want to go that far with it. Do I have to buy a quote unquote chip to put in it to do a special tune?
In some cases, yes. In other cases, no. But on the earlier vehicles, yeah, you do.
Okay, so I may have to buy a chip. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to ask him. So you go out and you get a dyno and you get it tuned and everything. Now it comes to a shop. Now a shop, how are they going to deal with trying to repair his vehicle that has a special dyno tune on it?
Well, it depends on the issue. I mean, if it's coming in for anything else, I mean, like, again, I'm one of the core companies that is Opus IVS. We used to specifically tune BMW vehicles, so we used to build performance tunes. It was actually invisible to any other technician working on it. If you were really good, you could see that we were kind of manipulating, the on time of the injector versus certain other parameters in the engine. But I mean, it would be almost impossible for anybody to see other than BMW.
Okay. Interesting.
And a lot of repair shops, they don't do a lot of PCM reprogramming unless the code relates to a required PCM reprogram. So you shouldn't lose your tune just because it goes in the shop for a drivability complaint. 9 times out of 10, a drivability complaint is going to be built around an injector, a sensor, or a coil, or an ignition component. Rarely is the repair reprogramming the computer.
Gotcha.
And another question, you said you work on the collision side of things. Do you do the recalibration for all of the cameras and sensors on cars?
We do. We handle a lot of that stuff. We've actually gotten really good at it. We sell out trihedral kits, so we're able to work with technicians remotely. Because remember, we have all of these technicians in remote call centers, so we work with the technicians on the placement of the trihedrals, and then we're able to put the vehicle into a calibration mode and actually make sure that it's accepting the calibration and that all of the sensors are working properly.
Yeah, because that's become something required anymore. You put a windshield in, you move a front bumper fascia. Even if they take it off for something else, now all of a sudden all those recalibrations are required. on the vehicle.
And the car doesn't automatically reboot itself and fix itself.
Correct. No, it's you've got to on the windshield and the cameras. It's kind of like target practice. They'll place out some targets and stuff that it has to see at certain distances.
Interesting.
And it has to get all that calibration done correctly, or the system doesn't work, or it starts turning on check engine lights.
Do you have any opportunity to do EVs with any electrical diagnostics?
Yeah, we do actually. I mean, we do some of it. I mean, it was kind of tricky for us in the beginning because when we're remoting our support services, we require the shop or the technician that we're talking to on the other end of the phone to have at least some degree of training, at least an 8-hour course on safety, because the last thing we want to do is be putting somebody, in proximity to an EV. Because I mean, you can get hurt, you can get killed working on one of these vehicles if you don't understand the safety precautions that need to be adhered to.
Yeah, and all of the manufacturers offer that. Basically, it is an 8-hour safety course to make sure that they understand that. First off, is you have to protect the area you're working in, as well as you have to wear a specific set of gloves. Those gloves either have to get tested every so often or replaced every so often so that the electricity doesn't pass through it. Otherwise, you become toast.
That's exactly it. And just real quick, going back to the ADAS question, it's an industry issue right now where if a vehicle goes into a repair shop, and this is a pretty common repair, your vehicle's in the parking lot, somebody smacks your side view mirror. Some of the sensors are in that side view mirror, so if they go into the average repair shop, that side view mirror gets replaced. Now the customer's driving the car. The recalibration hasn't been performed on the vehicle, right? There's not going to be a check engine light to tell, or a light on the dashboard to tell a customer that vehicle is out of calibration. It is going to act differently. Now, in the case of a dynamic calibration, as the customer drives, it's going to start learning. It's going to use its other sensors, and it's going to start learning over time. But initially, as that customer is driving that vehicle, lane departure and everything else, side impact. It's gonna take a little while for that car to start acting the way it was before the customer had the issue with this side view mirror.
Kevin, does your system there at Opus IVS, is it capable of turning off the lane departure? That's the most annoying thing I have ever dealt with. And now I'm driving cars that if you turn it off, it's got a yellow light in the dashboard that says you've turned it off. I know I turned it off. I turned it off on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, we replicate factory functionality, so you can do it. And a lot of these things are you can tailor it, because some of the stuff some customers want, some don't. Some want it to beep, some just want a light on the side view mirror. So a lot of these systems are configurable. So yeah, if we replicate factory functionality. So yeah, it depends on the driver. By the way, in my wife and my daughter's car, I mean, I have more bells and whistles in these things. I mean, yeah, I want it all on, just sort of.
Yeah, for them. I don't want it on for me.
But can a customer, Don comes in there and says, I want you to turn my lane departure warning off. Can you? I know physically you can do it, but from a shop business perspective, legally, can you do that?
Negative. No, you can't turn it off completely. But what you can do is you can figure, like I said, like sounds. And, I just want the light on. Or I want the audible piece off. The safety systems are there for a reason. And as a shop, you don't want to be the guy to turn it off, because God forbid there is an issue with the vehicle. Right?
That's what I was thinking. You turn it off, they go get in a wreck, and who are they coming to?
I'm thinking a good pair of side cutters will do just fine. I'll get under there and find that dang thing.
Yeah, one of the things Don does like is the haptic seat. He likes that vibrating seat when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And by the way, there is precedent on exactly what you're mentioning. I mean, they are going back to some of these shops. I mean, somebody rewires a seat mat for a passenger occupancy, and they don't do it properly. So there's a child in the front seat, and that airbag actually deploys or does not deploy. They're going back to the shop that did that. There is precedent on exactly that. So you need to be careful. You always have to be careful of what you're doing on a vehicle, whether or not you want to get involved. And if you go to save a customer a few bucks by fixing something that probably should be replaced, you have to think twice.
Well, yeah, also the old days of, my wife ripped the mirror off backing out of the garage are gone, because you can't just go to the salvage yard and buy a new mirror and put it on. You can go to a salvage yard and buy a new mirror, but it's going to take you $200-300 to get it all recalibrated, right, so that the car knows that the mirror is there and all of the safety systems are re-engaged, just because she clipped it on the garage on the way out.
That's
the days of buying the replacement glass down at your local, Advanced Auto Parts and gluing the mirror back into the mirror shell, right?
Exactly.
I guess you can't do that anymore.
Nope.
No. You go to Walmart, get a hand mirror, and you stick it.
It's got the handle sticking out.
Yeah.
The handle,
well, you can adjust it.
That's so you can adjust it
and turn it over for the objects in the mirror are closer than they
appear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk just for a second, Kevin, and talk about what car insurance companies give you to get your discount. That basically it's a little spy computer that you plug into your car.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I'm going to be very, very careful here because I like to be friends with everybody, insurance, including insurance companies. So you put this thing into your car, and they say, "Hey, we're going to give you a discount if you put this thing in your car. It's for safe drivers, right?"
Yeah.
But what if you're not a safe driver, right? Or what if you're the guy, right, that goes, you know what I mean? You like to every day you're trying to set the world record for the speed trials and get to work, right? I'm pretty sure, and I don't have any data to back this up, but what I'm pretty sure is what they're not telling you is if you're not a safe driver, right? If you're out there setting speed trials every day, that there might be a different result than the one you're looking for, right?
Yeah. Do it. So if you do that, you make that mistake, and you're doing 85 on the tollway every stinking morning. They go, "We're going to cut you off. We don't want to have your business any longer." Right. Do the insurance companies talk to each other? Do they go, "This guy, we cut him off because he's doing 85 on the way to work every day"?
It's like casinos.
Yeah, I think, listen, your record follows you everywhere, right? I mean, they used to have, when I was a kid, I did wind up, I mean, like I said, like most of us, when we're especially young men, and I'm certainly not being misogynistic, but there's a reason why young men under 25 pay higher rates for their insurance, right? Because we can't wait to get our licenses, and there's a reason why, right? We want to, we all love the Dukes of Hazzard. We want to see exactly what this car is capable of.
and we're fearless. We don't know what we don't know. So let's
right, exactly. We want to take every vehicle and test the limits of the vehicle, and then they're cognizant of it. One thing they're always looking for, by the way, with these devices is your braking, right? Are you always braking? You know what I mean? Are you going from 100 to 0, and is that a regular occurrence for you, right? So
yeah, like you're following too close. But I was thinking, I mean, that's kind of obvious, you can't argue with that too much. But I was thinking more about freeway entrance ramps,
Mike.
Of course you were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Mike,
whose choice is it to say
Mike
you're
gets
speeding?
a new car to drive every week, a different one out of the press fleet. And part of what Mike does, not me, he does
not you.
freeway entrance ramp test to see, the acceleration and
well, you got to merge. You got to check out the merge
G-forces
capability,
that sort of stuff.
The on-ramp acceleration test.
How sticky are those tires?
Yeah, exactly. Trust me, they, the people they want putting these devices in the car, the guy they're looking for, again, cards on the table. The guy they're looking for is the guy that's pissing everybody else off.
Oh, that guy!
We know one. There he is, right there.
So,
exactly.
are the devices they're putting on the vehicle? Is it an ALDL plug-in, which is the diagnostic connector plug-in, or is it a combination of an ALDL plug-in and a GPS sensor so they can measure time, distance, and speed?
I can't speak specifically about the GPS piece, but it does plug directly into the 16 pin connector. And they're pulling. I'm not sure what their terms and conditions said, but they're pulling all sorts of information.
There's all sorts of information there for them to pull.
Oh yeah.
Well, and let me just give you maybe this would be a good a sales thing for you, and you could start selling part of your services to the insurance company since you're plugging into the same thing.
Well, let's be honest, okay? I mean, and let's not be naive about what's really going on in the world, right? Every one of us, when we're driving, we have a device either in our pocket or sitting on the passenger next to us. That cell phone is picking up all the same data. It knows how fast you're going. It knows exactly where you're going, how fast it took you to get from point A to point B, and all of that data is being sold and marketed. So
Siri has everything,
and it knows what you're saying sometimes because it's, oh my God, here, hold my beer. You haven't seen anything yet.
So all I can think of is that from now on, turn your cell phone off when you get in the car.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the thing. So whether or not you're plugging in something to your ALDL or not, or you have all that information is readily available. We've all clicked past these. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, all of that data is readily available.
And OnStar has been collecting that data for years.
That's correct. And like I said, and if you ask me what all of these, again, how much of my data should tell, what are they picking up, what are they collecting? There's no such thing as a free lunch. Download a free game. What you're giving away then online is astounding.
Exactly.
That's a scary thing, really,
Yeah.
if you stop and think about it. And all these press cars, all the brand new press cars that we drive, they know how fast we're going.
Yes, they do.
And it says over there, we are downloading all this stuff. So,
Yeah, let's slow it down. Kevin, we always enjoy talking to you. It's a real pleasure. Opus IVS, and if you want more information, I assume that you have a website that people can get it.
OpusIVS.com. Yeah, we just launched a new one, so please come in, take a look. And again, I always appreciate talking to you guys, so thank you again for having me.
You stay warm up there.
Thank you again, guys. Bye-bye now.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Kevin Fitzpatrick. A great guy. I love talking
learn
to
something
him.
new every day.
I know it. If you stop and think about it, and he's so true, this cell phone knows everything.
Could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just try not to think about it. That Alexa is everywhere with you. Alexa or Siri 1.
Well,
It's kind of like your wife. They know all kinds of things. You don't know that they know, but they know.
they know.
Yeah, I don't want them to know, but yeah.
Okay. Time now for this hour's car review. Had a chance to drive the all-new 2024 Cadillac Escalade. I like to call it the Escalade because I'm me. That's the only reason why. Available trim levels. And I was kind of surprised at this. I did not know this. Comes in luxury, premium luxury, sport, premium luxury platinum, sport platinum, and V.
Yeah.
That's the high horsepower supercharged motor in that thing.
Betcha.
I had the four-wheel drive platinum. Okay? Standard SUV is what the government labels it as. I call it Mr. Big.
Yeah, the big honking horse.
It is huge. How many passengers? 7 or 8, depending on how you
On how you
configure.
slice them.
On how you configure the second row seat. Is it going to be a bench, or are you going to have the buckets? I prefer the buckets. Exterior changes from last model year. All new in 2021. Oh, there's a tweak here, a tweak there to make it a little bit different and charge you a little bit more money, or a lot more money, whatever the case may be. Exterior features. This is a great big rectangle in the shape of a four-wheel drive passenger vehicle. It's big, man. If you set these body styles, the new body styles, this one came out in 2021, you set it up next to a 10-year-old, 15-year-old Suburban, you're going to go, oh my gosh, I had no clue how it's grown. It is swelled up to enormous sizes. Big grill opening with those squinty headlights, and it looks good. That front end is very distinctive, very Cadillac-y. Extra tall tail lights that reach the roof, all the way up to the roof, those rear tail lights. Interesting. Wheels and trim change with the trim level that you purchase. That's how they kind of distinguish themselves amongst all of them. As I told you, there are lots of trim levels available for you. What I liked, distinctively large vehicle with unique Cadillac styling cues. What could use improvement? I would say make the design more lyric-like. That if I were just to throw something out there,
I agree.
I would say, because that lyric,
It's beautiful. And
that
it's not as the lyric's not as angular. It seems like they've kind of smoothed it out a little bit. But yeah,
Streamlined.
that angular thing has been a Cadillac style for a number of years. That's a design concept that they've stayed with.
Yeah, it's done them well,
and they've kept it on the Escalade.
Yeah, compare Cadillac with Lincoln,
Right.
Because those were the two main U.S. players. Well, Lincoln, what do they got? 3 old school designs.
And the Cadillac style does vary significantly from the sister vehicles of the Chevy and GMC. The Cadillac, you can tell that's a Cadillac coming down the highway.
No doubt about it. Yeah, absolutely. Interior highlights. Layered instrument screen. In front of an infotainment screen is the actual instrumentation for the car. A faux wood trim that looks real with accessory controls around the driver, rich leather surfaces and massaging, comfortable seating, tons of powered connections throughout the cabin. Cargo trunk room, massive, with the third row seating folded down. What I liked, the handiness of its size. Next size up would be a school bus. What would use improvement? Kitchen sink, perhaps. Maybe throw that in there. Turn signal indicator in the HUD, the head-up display. It is not in there. So if you had to use the turn signal and you got the head-up display on, you ain't going to see the turn signal in there. Just a little something. 6.2-liter V8 gasoline engine, 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque, 10-speed automatic transmission. It'll tow up to 8,200 pounds.
Without any struggle.
None. City, 14 miles per gallon. Highway, 18 miles per gallon for a combined of 16. I got 16.5 over 368.1 miles. What I liked about it, plenty of power. What could use improvement? Weight reduction. It's 18 feet long and weighs 5,635.0 pounds. That's a lot, brother.
Yep.
You know, cars, 3,000 to 3,500 pounds. It's almost twice the weight of a car. What I liked about the handling, the ride, the smoothness of that air suspension. Don't touch it. It's wonderful. Base trim price, $113,695. Prices tested, $121,315. Base model price, this is kind of surprising, $79,295.
Yep.
Go try to find one of those. You're not going to find it. Competitors, Land Rover Range Rover Sport, $85,075. BMW X7, $81,900. The Mercedes-Benz GLS, $87,000. Just to throw this out there, the Chevy Suburban High Country, which is the top of the line, starts at $81,895. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
You said air suspension. This has got the electromagnetic ride, correct?
No, this is air suspension.
This is air suspension.
Yeah. They're that's available. So just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, that's the review of the Cadillac Escalade. In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts available from your favorite podcast provider. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues after this quick break.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. board your dream boat, and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
I said it was going to be a quick break.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it was. Howdy, and thanks for joining us here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. So glad that you could join us.
We couldn't wait to get to Buzz.
Well, and we're going to get to him here in just a second. It's your favorite go-to spot in-car podcasting and live streaming. You're on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, Buzz Smith. Going to talk about the EV sinking ship. Oh, I didn't say that, did I? Conrad has... Conrad has this week in auto history, and we'll get you caught up on the stories making news this week. Howdy, along with Mike.
Buzz all choked up over there.
Along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zeke, and I'm Don Armstrong. Let's just get right to it, shall we? Here he is, live from the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. It's Buzz Smith. I'm sorry, I just had to go. Good morning. You know I got to razz you. You know that.
Oh, no. I actually think the reason I got invited at this time is all of the doom and gloom news, and you hit it right there. So
let's just say we were lucky on that.
Well, let's see. Dallas Cowboys, electric vehicles.
Cold weather. None of them work.
Thanks for coming in. We'll see you next week.
So I had this all planned out. I was going to read this story, and I'm going to read this story. Before we get started with Buzz, he is our EV god, if you will. He knows it all. Tesla owners in Chicago found out the hard way that EV makers' vaunted supercharger network can't always overcome extreme weather conditions. Perfect storm of freezing temperatures, offline charging stalls, and high demand combined to create a rare charging breakdown for Tesla, which is the U.S. leader in charging infrastructure, both for the size of its network and its reliability, or lack thereof. Chicago's WGN-TV visited several of the stations Monday and found long lines in tow trucks in some cases, taking Tesla vehicles to owners' homes or to other supercharger stations. An unidentified Uber driver told WGN that he had to wait an hour for an open charger and then had to wait 2 hours for a full charge while driving in the cold. Battery range fell so fast that he had to charge twice a day while operating as a rideshare. Part of the problem was out of Tesla's control, since EVs use more energy in cold weather, as do gasoline vehicles, according to the U.S. Department of Energy. Agency says on its website that gas mileage is about 15% lower in the freezing cold, while EV efficiency can fall by up to 40%, depending on how much energy is used to heat the cabin. And that seems to be a real stickler there, heating the cabin.
At 20 below, I would think so.
So, well, listen to this. Newer Tesla models have heat pumps that use far less energy than traditional resistive heaters. EV charging stations are not as plentiful as gasoline stations, and charging takes far longer in the cold, since EV batteries need to warm for a fast charging session. This from Automotive News. On its web page, Tesla said that cold weather best practices include warming the cabin and battery before leaving home, preconditioning the battery before arriving at a supercharger station, driving slower to conserve energy, and using seat heaters to keep warm rather than the cabin heater. I get all that. Slowdown in electric vehicle sales growth has put suppliers in a bind as they look to manage customer demand for parts for both EVs and internal combustion engine vehicles. EV sales growth stalled in the back half of 2023, and EV inventory began to pile up. That caused some automakers to pull back on aggressive EV rollout plans, at least in the short term. GM pushed back the launch of the Chevy Silverado EV and GMC Sierra EV production in suburban Detroit until late 2025, while Ford said in October it would delay about $12 billion in EV spending and reduce Mustang Mach-E production. Okay, Buzz, take it away. I'm sorry. And to your defense, and I know that you and I joke a lot about EVs. I'm not a big fan. I think that there's a place in the world for EVs, but I think that people are expecting gasoline kind of mileage.
Yeah, it can't be a complete replacement for.
Correct.
Because there was one thing consistent about all of those wreckers going to tow those EVs in Chicago. They were all powered by
gasoline engines.
Vehicles.
Yeah. So, I guess one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and really the story kind of explained the thing with cold weather and batteries and Teslas and charging and all that sort of stuff. So I don't really want to hammer that too much, but EV sales have really plummeted, and I think that they're all backed up on dealer lots, not necessarily because people don't like them. I think that part of the problem is interest rates and the price of them. Let's face it, I mean, they're not cheap.
Well, actually, there are some really affordable models out there. I just bought my 7th plug-in vehicle, and it's my first Tesla. And I thought Tesla is just, for the ultra-rich, except for maybe the Model 3. But we were looking for something we could take camping, and the Model Y would have been a better fit. But I tried desperately to buy either a Kia EV6 or a Hyundai Ioniq 5.
And you can't find one.
Oh, I found plenty of them. The problem was the dealers were putting $3,200 worth of, cup holder protections and door edge guards and stuff like that.
Cup holder protection. That's good. I like it.
I couldn't believe it, but it was actually on the list of the stuff that was added. So some of this is, going back to the old dealer game. And in their behalf, one of the problems that's going on is now invoice price and
interest rates,
price and the actual dealer cost are now lined up. They didn't used to be. And so a dealer could say, oh, we're giving you invoice pricing. So you're thinking, wow, I'm getting what the dealer paid for the car. You don't stay in business if your profit is zero. So they always had that cushion. Well, nowadays they don't have that cushion. So they're looking for other ways to generate profits. And there's a lot of mistrust going on between the dealers and the OEMs right now. The dealers are worried that the OEMs are trying to run them out of business, so that they can take on the Tesla sales model of, just direct sales delivered directly to the customer, that sort of thing. As far as the sales drop for EVs that everybody's blowing way out of proportion, the government, I think, caused a lot of this. Interest rates absolutely did. But the government had a lot of confusion about which cars were going to still qualify for the $7,500 income tax credit.
Right.
They also made it where on January 1, if the dealer became or applied with the government to do this, the dealership could just give you that $7,500 as a point of sale discount. So a lot of people, me included, decided, hey, I'm just going to wait until 2024 to buy an EV so that if in case, like in my case, I'm retired and I may not.
You're not retired.
Well, no, I just came out of retirement, but I was retired. And, I may not qualify for the full $7,500. I may not have that big a tax burden. So I was going to wait till January 1. And then as I'm looking at vehicles, now the Hyundai and the Kias didn't qualify for the $7,500, but they were discounting them $7,500. So I got that with them. And then I went over and, after visiting 2 dealerships that had just packed on thousands of dollars of extra cred, I was sitting there at my house on a Sunday, kind of depressed because I wanted to get an EV. And I just thought, I wonder if Tesla is open on Sundays. Well, they're not a dealership. So in Texas, yeah, they are. And I went and test drove it with my wife. And it was, they basically gave us the key and said, have fun for 45 minutes. And we went out driving just on our own. And when we looked at the numbers, believe it or not, the Tesla was cheaper than the Ioniq once the dealer packed all that stuff on there, but only if I got the $7,500. And as it turned out, Tesla couldn't tell me if the Model Y was going to qualify after January 1. So we decided to pull the trigger just before the end of the year to get the car. And no regrets. I mean, it's a phenomenal vehicle. I really did not want to buy a Tesla, because I'm trying to tell the world, hey, there's plenty of great, inexpensive electric vehicles to buy. Tesla's not the only car in the world that's electric, so shop around. And when I did, in this case, in this particular area of Texas, the Tesla won the day.
Well, the Tesla has also been coming down in price because Elon has been discounting it because it's competition now.
Yeah, there's competition. And since they got such a great head start and they're at mass production now, these other OEMs, and you mentioned Ford and Chevy, pulling back on their investments some, Tesla can just go to war with them and discount. And that's a huge advantage for Tesla. And it's going to take a while for the other EV manufacturers to get up to speed. Now, the thing that's on the horizon are the Chinese electric vehicles. They are not currently available in the United States, but they are in Europe, and they are stomping the traditional OEMs that are making electric vehicles. The European population loves the Chinese vehicles. They are very high quality vehicles. They're very affordable. They're subsidized probably way more than the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
With the tax credit. So that's an issue. And they are shopping. There's at least one brand I know of right now that's shopping for a factory location in Mexico. Once they start building them in North America, they're going to start qualifying for these tax credits.
Are you talking about VinFast?
No, VinFast is actually building a factory in the United States, and I got to drive one of their vehicles at the Electrify Expo, and they've gotten some really bad press, but I'll tell you, on that test drive, and we could drive them on the Formula One track, not at Formula One speeds, but that was an amazing vehicle. It's a 3-row SUV, you know, exactly what the American market's looking for. And so the Kia EV9 that's about to come to the United States, well, actually, they're in production now. We're hoping to take one on the East Texas road trip in a week. But the Kia EV9 is going to be an amazing vehicle for America. And, you know, you were mentioning some of these SUVs starting at $80,000. The EV9, I believe, comes in just below that. And definitely the VinFast does. So there are going to be a lot of really good choices, especially once they qualify for the tax credit.
Are you coming to Houston for the Houston Auto Show?
Not this year. On February 28th or January 28th, TechCetra, the organization that I just became executive director of, we're putting on what's called the East Texas EV Road Trip. And so we're driving from Beaumont to Texarkana, stopping at several different cities to present to the chambers of commerce, the news media, hopefully hosting some politicians from that area. We have the conservatives for energy innovation that will be with us. So, you know, I keep telling people EVs are not partisan. They're not political. It's not a liberal thing. If you're conservative and you care about international competition with China, if you care about energy independence, things like that, then EVs are still a great thing for you too. So it's not, you know, some green conspiracy. There are things for liberals and conservatives when it comes to EVs, and we're going out there, even with a school bus. An electric school bus is going with us on this trip because in the Austin area, there's a school district that just got 91, or they just ordered 91 school buses. Longview, Texas, just ordered 10 electric school buses. So now that the government funds are coming out, we're seeing a lot more charging infrastructure. We're seeing a lot more school districts taking advantage of the program to get their school buses electrified. And that's what I'm focusing on this year. I did want to see you guys at the show, but I'm not going to be able to make it.
I wanted to see that red sequin jacket of yours. That's what I wanted to see.
The top hat.
I don't care about you. I just care about the jacket.
So Buzz,
well, you know, now that I'm executive director of TechCetra, I've kind of toned it down a little bit.
I see that you're wearing a
little
black.
more stylish.
Yeah, you're looking good.
Well, I'm wearing this because I'm cold. I'm so tired of winter already.
Yeah. Well, when we started talking a few weeks ago, we were talking about if you made it down to Houston, we were going to talk a little bit about your new position with TechCetra. And so we really haven't announced that or gone any place with that. So, but you brought it up. So can you just real quickly, what is that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. TechCetra is a nonprofit that works with the state legislature on EV policy, things like EV incentives, EV taxation, you know, because we now have to pay a $200 annual fee on top of normal registration since we don't buy gasoline to get our roads repaired. We work with the state government on infrastructure rollout. In fact, 5 years ago, we started generating the roadmap for EV electrification. And the NEVI funds are just starting to roll out into the field now, where you're going to see a lot of electric chargers getting built. And the big announcement from a lot of the OEMs to move towards the NACS or Tesla charger. In fact, it's, you know, national or North American charging standard. This is what Tesla named it. So they were kind of uppity there, you know, saying, oh, we're going to take over. And now they are going to take over. So we're going to see a lot more charging infrastructure. And what's really cool for the other EV drivers than Tesla, just 2 miles from my house, in the parking lot of a Lowe's home improvement store, there's a bank of like 15 Tesla chargers, and they have Tesla's new Magic Port. And so when you pull up in a Tesla, it senses your car is a Tesla. And when you pull the charger out, it's a Tesla charger. If you pull up in a non-Tesla, when you pull the charger out, it's a CCS plug. So all of those non-Asian EVs that are here in the United States will be able to start using the Tesla charging network as they roll this program out across the nation. And that's going to be huge.
Let's talk about
with the DC chargers.
That's the DC fast charger, yeah.
Wow.
Let's talk about the reliability of these charging stations. I don't get very many EVs, but when I do, there's one not too far from me, and I won't tell you who it is, but it always seems like half of it works and the other half of it doesn't work. So frustrating, because you can only get 2 cars in there, one on either side of the thing, and when the other half doesn't work, well, you got to wait in line. What is up with that?
Well, I think that, Tesla was really focused on uptime, and they did I'll tell you, a fantastic job. The most common reason for chargers not to work is loss of connection to the network, so that, they can't charge you. And so one of the really innovative things I've seen is one of the charging companies now will actually, you're using your phone app to start the charging session. So it uses your phone's connection to the internet. And let's say you're up in the Rocky Mountains somewhere and there is no internet connection and they lose their landline. They're actually able to spread that transaction data across all of the mobile phones of all the vehicles charging there. And when you get back into an area where you have cell phone connection, it will upload that transaction to the server. So losing that internet connection won't shut down those chargers. And it uses blockchain technology, so everybody's, information is completely private. But it basically, has a way to get that, save that information until the car and the cell phone in it gets to an area where it can pick up a signal, and then it just uploads that data.
Because that's bad PR,
It is bad PR, but the fact is, the internet, goes down, and especially in rural areas. Hopefully, that's getting fixed with the new infrastructure that's going out. But it's an innovative way to approach it, and I think that's going to be cool. But if the charging companies aren't careful, Tesla's going to take over now that they're doing CCS as well.
Is there a website for your new company?
Yes, in fact, we just rebranded and changed the name of the website to make it easier for people to remember. So remember, we're in Texas, and it's txev.org, and there you can see the latest news on electric vehicles. If you're in Texas, I'm begging you to join us. My position was held up until December 31st by a legend in Texas politics and in lobbying. His name was, oddly enough, it's Tom Smith, no relation, but he goes by Smitty. And he and I were at the Texas Energy Summit in the state legislature. And over from stage, you'd see a state senator, a state representative go, "Oh, and look, there's Smitty out in the audience, our good friend." And, I think as an organization, it's a big hit for us to lose his services. He's been lobbying in the state legislature for 42 years. And when he was with Public Citizen, he was one of the people that was responsible for us to getting the high tension power lines that went from nowhere in the panhandle to the major cities, which is now what is supporting wind energy and solar energy in Texas. So the work that he did over all those years, put us where we're leading the nation. We're number 1 in wind. We're number 3 and rapidly approaching number 1 in solar renewable energy. And we're talking, utility scale generation. So we're leading the nation there. We're number 3 in EV adoption right now. But what we need more voices. When we're talking to the legislature, we need members that can pick up the phone or go to their email and let their legislators know how they feel.
Buzz, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I appreciate your your welcomeness as far as my sick sense of humor, and I'm always razzing you, and you know that I enjoy talking to you. And I appreciate your knowledge.
I love you guys.
I got one question.
I always take it with a grain of salt. I know you're just ribbing me, but you want it to be so bad you can taste it.
What quarter of the game did you turn off at?
I think it was like 10 minutes in. I'm not a big football fan anyway, but right after the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers faced off in the ALCS, I was really hoping for a championship game between Dallas and Houston. And, you know, I think that the Dallas Cowboys should start producing some jewelry. If they came up with a nice choker for women, that would be a great piece of jewelry that I think would be popular nationwide.
Didn't know he was going there.
Buzz, I read where somebody had asked Roger Staubach if he thought that his team from back in the 70s could beat the current Dallas Cowboys. And supposedly he told the reporter, yeah, but it'd be really close. And it'd be like 10-7. And they asked him why. And Roger said, well, me and most of the guys on my team are in our 80s now. So,
touche.
That's it. Very good. Thank you. Buzz, good to talk to you, my friend. Take care of yourself.
All right, y'all keep an eye out for that Texas East EV road trip. It's going to be a hoot.
Well, we certainly will. Thanks again. All right, time now for This Week in Auto History here on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show, and Conrad has that.
Well, we know Jeff is the resident Cadillac fan. The automotive world witnessed the public premiere of the Cadillac's inaugural car at Madison Square Garden in New York City in 1903, unveiling the groundbreaking Cadillac Runabout with its single-cylinder engine. The vehicle closely resembled the original Ford Model A for a good reason, because Leland had worked for Henry Ford in the design of the Model A. In 1921, the first ever Rolls-Royce rolled off the assembly line. U.S.-built Rolls-Royce rolled off the assembly line, signaling the commencement of Rolls-Royce production in the United States, built in the Boston area. And they built them for a number, I think it was 9 years in the Boston area. In 1953, the Corvette prototype made its debut at GM's Motorama in the New York Waldorf Astoria Hotel, laying the foundation for the birth of the American sports car legend that would capture the enthusiasts worldwide. And today, the Corvette is still an enthusiast car, and they're making huge changes in the market all the time. In 1964, it marked the delivery of the first Porsche Carrera GTS. It soon established its dominance on the track, translating to a legacy of unmatched performance and design, and Porsche to this day is recognized as one of the racing leaders in all categories. In 1997, Subaru unveiled its first production Forester for the U.S. market. The vehicle originally made headlines at the Tokyo Motor Show in '95 as the Striga concept. Credited for one of the first crossovers, Subaru slapped its slogans "SUV tough, car easy" on this. And then in 1998, the state of Tennessee designated Highway 51 South and renamed it the Elvis Presley Boulevard. The name pays homage to the legendary musician's cultural impact, providing fans with a symbolic route to Graceland.
Very nice. I want you to know that I signed up for the Elvis hologram concert.
All right.
It's not been announced as a tour yet in the United States. They're going to tour it, and I was so excited. I went to see the hologram for
Buddy Holly?
No, not Buddy Holly. It was
It was a Prevagen concert.
It was a Prevagen concert, sponsored by Prevagen. That one. God. Anyway, it was really impressive. Pretty Woman.
Made such an impression.
Pretty Woman. Who sang Pretty Woman? Roy Orbison. It was that concert, and it was spectacular with a full orchestra and backup singers, and there he is singing right at the front of the stage in a hologram form. It was pretty impressive.
Now you're going to go watch Elvis gyrate.
Did you see the movie Elvis?
No, I haven't.
It's really
I heard
good.
it's excellent.
It's excellent. Okay. Time now for some of the stories making headlines, and we start with our recalls this week. And There are a few, not near as many as I thought there would be. Ford EcoSport and Ford Focus 2016 through 2022 engine oil pump failure. You and I talked about that last week.
And they don't have parts available for it yet. So even though your engine has failed, you're just going to have to wait.
Yeah, well, that's definitely going to do that and not have any transportation. Inoperative left rear turn signal in the Volvo XC40 for 2024, whatever that is about. Ford Motor Company on Friday said it's cutting 2/3 of the jobs at the Michigan plant that builds the F-150 Lightning as it slows output of the electric pickup. From Automotive News, in April, Ford will make 1,400 workers at its Rouge Electric Vehicle Center in Dearborn either retire or move to other facilities as the plant drops to one daily production shift, the automaker said.
How'd that strike work out for you?
Since October, the site has been operating on a 2-shift, 3-crew pattern with 1 crew of workers on rotating layoffs. Ford said 700 people, or roughly half the affected workers, will transfer to nearby Michigan Assembly, where it's adding a 3rd crew to increase production of the Bronco SUV and the Ranger pickup. Yeah. The production pullback comes amid a slowdown in EV demand that has prompted Ford and other automakers to rethink ambitious plans. Ford has delayed roughly $12 billion in EV investments and postponed some production targets. The company said it was reducing some Mustang Mach-E production and postponing opening one of 2 battery plants planned in Kentucky with partner SK On. That's interesting. I'll save this story for later when you come back. But Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company on Thursday named Stellantis North American executive Mark Stewart as CEO. The appointment is effective January 29th, Goodyear said in a statement. Conrad's making all the noise over there this morning. The manufacturer in Akron, Ohio, initiated a review to maximize shareholder value last July after shedding jobs to deal with softening demand and spiraling inflation. Stellantis, which owns Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Fiat, and several other global auto brands, announced Tuesday that Stewart was leaving the automaker after a 5-year stint as COO of North America. He'll be replaced by Carlos Zarlenga, president of Stellantis' Mexico unit, effective February 1st.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. Okay, time now for a quick break, but we'll be right back. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is streaming and podcasting. Look for us on your favorite podcast provider. Back after this break.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere.
Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 of the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invite you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere.
From the Sugar Shack Studios in Texas, USA, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, podcasting and streaming around the globe. Just ahead, Ben Miller brings us the car show inside the car show.
What?
We talk more Jeff. We need more Jeff.
We do need
brings info on Hyundai Hydrogen. And Conrad has a look at the upcoming racing events. Just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, deep in thought down at the other end of the dais. King Conrad DeLong. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Something.
Deep
in something.
Deep in.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, we know.
You got to explain it 3 times.
Well,
it's
you
not
need to
funny.
turn your microphone on down there.
Deep in mute.
Deep in mute. King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zeke, and I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on our live broadcast every Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. What?
No, he's just complimenting Mike on his little switcher there, and he's all over it.
I sure am glad you're not over here. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Because Donna reached
It's a reason I'm this far away.
Yeah. God.
No, I think it's a great idea. We should all have one.
Ben Miller is the CEO of the Houston Automotive Show's Classic Car Corral. Did you like that title, Ben?
That'll work. That's not what my card says, but that's fine.
Well, I know, so you're going to have to get them reprinted. Jeff can do that for you. We'll make that happen.
We'll get her done.
How have you been? I haven't talked to you in a year.
I've been good. I'm a little cold right now with this weather. I'm not built for this. So
well, neither is anybody else.
None of us are.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you back in cahoots with the Houston Automotive Show that's coming our way this Wednesday. It opens, and so has move-in already started, or are you waiting in the flanks to get out there?
No, we're still waiting. Move-in isn't going to take place until Monday for the auto show side. I mean, they're still getting the displays ready and everything, and I'm going to go down there tomorrow just to see what they have put up already. But Wyatt and the rest of the team have already, been down there and watching everything. But I won't bring my cars in until Monday and Tuesday.
So when you bring your cars in, are they predominantly trailered in, or do people drive them in?
Well, the people that have trailers, they'll trailer them in, and then the rest of them will drive them, and that's the only thing that's what I have to worry about. The new cars, they're there, they can be wiped down and everything. The classic cars, if someone's driving them, if it's raining,
clean them.
Well, I will tell you this from my own experience, and I've experienced this multiple times back in the day when I was actually showing the 77 Corvette that was built to show. And when it rains and you don't have a trailer, you're screwed.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. You just better have lots of rags and plan on lots of time to get underneath the hood, underneath the car, and clean it all over again. My suggestion is go rent an enclosed trailer and put your car in the enclosed trailer, or have somebody that has an enclosed trailer to trailer it down there. Because think, you're still going to probably have to get it wet going from the outside to the inside, even though it's in a trailer.
If it's raining.
It's supposed to rain. It's 100% chance of rain Monday, Tuesday, and almost Wednesday.
Is it cost effective to rent the trailer price versus hiring a couple of people to actually do the wipe down?
Listen, when you're into classic cars like Ben is,
I'm just trying to be
don't
cost effective.
touch my car.
Well,
it's all mine. I'll
you don't
deal
want
with
to hire somebody to clean the car because they'll never do it right.
Well, you can at least get started.
Yeah.
You can go behind them.
The other thing is, I mean, you could put it on a rollback and at least maybe some of the rain will just blow off of
That
it.
is a pure fantasy. That is
That's a hope and a dream
That is
and a wish.
a total lie, because I've been there, done that too. Trailered on an open trailer. But actually, it was
From here to Oklahoma.
From here to Oklahoma
In the snow.
and it made no difference. I could have driven it and had gotten the same damage with all of the ice and the snow and the smuck off the roadway. It was awful.
Yeah, I figured out real quick.
I showed it Autorama 10 years straight, and so that was one of the things. My dad, we bought an enclosed car hauler, and it was a really good idea for whenever we were showing, because it didn't matter if it was raining or not. We were taking the car,
Yeah.
So.
Well, you could do so much more ahead of time, prep-wise, like you say, cleaning and stuff, and then putting it in there, and not worry too much about it when you get there.
Well, I think if worse came to worse, I'd be on the phone today, and I'd be on the line with Allied Auto Movers or whoever it is,
Reliable or whoever.
somebody, and say, I've got a dozen guys that would really like for you to we'll stop by your neighborhood, pick up your car, and it's going to cost you $500. It's worth it. Even if it's $1,000, it's worth it. Trust me. Don't you agree, Ben?
I do.
Exactly. Okay,
So what kind of prime iron can we expect you to bring in this year?
Well, as long as everyone shows up, I've got some really good cars. I've got a one I'm real excited about, and I actually know the car. I've got a '70 Hemi Roadrunner that's vitamin C orange, and it's all it's restored back to original. It's a real nice car. I've got kind of a mix again. There's again, I don't want to tell you all the stuff, because then I'll be giving everything away. But there is a guy, I met him actually at the Topwater show.
Yeah.
Y'all were out there.
Right.
Yep.
He didn't show his car. He just kind of drove in and parked it, and then he left. Well, I caught him before he left. He has a 1937 Packard. It's a
piece.
hot rod.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful car. But I've got Mustangs. I've got a pretty good selection of trucks again this year. So it'll be a good mix.
Did you go to Houston Autorama?
Yes, sir.
Did you see, what was it, a 70 Chevy C10 or whatever it was? That it even had plastic on the seats. It was so well done.
Over there by the restrooms.
It was in the truck corral.
Yeah.
It was spectacular.
But it definitely looked like it was just a showroom piece they took and covered and stored and brought back out for Autorama. It still had all of the tags and plastics on it from the manufacturer, the pre-production
I guess
stuff.
I don't remember that.
You just need to stick with us more often. That's all.
That's right.
I'll just go walk the show with y'all whenever I'm up there.
That's it. Yeah.
But you do have somebody. Didn't you talk to somebody there at Autorama, a truck that's coming that you talked to?
Let's see.
One of the guys.
Yes, I do. I do have one guy that he's shown with me before. He's going to bring a 72 C10 step side. He showed there, and then there was a couple that was supposed to show with me, but they didn't get back with me in enough time. So I'm going to try and put them in for next year.
Yeah, because you don't repeat very often, do you?
I try not to. I mean, unless if the car is really rare or something that people really want to see, then I'll repeat them. But I like seeing different stuff every year. I don't think it's good to put the same thing in every year. Right, you will see a few every now and then. Like there's a few this year that may have been in a few years ago, but there's usually a reason why. So,
yeah. Well, that's one of the cool things, I think, is because you can, regardless of what you like, generally you've got something different,
New, fresh.
yeah, fresh, or you may, like you say, you may have seen it 10 years ago, but generally that time frame, everybody's made a lot of changes in their cars. They've done updates, new paint, something.
I have to tell you that one of the things that this was several years ago, and it was in Ben's display, and it was out in the lobby out there, and it was a spectacular, original looking, it had been restored, 57 Chevrolet. Nothing too crazy about that. However, it had this little glass thing that was on the dashboard that I had never seen before in my life, had absolutely no clue what it was, and it took me a while to find out what it was. And because of the overhang of the roof line, and back then, a lot of the traffic signals were hung from the middle of the intersection. So you'd pull up to the intersection, the light would be red, and you would either have to lean forward and look up to be able to see the light, or use this little glass thing. We'll call it a magic mirror, but it wasn't a mirror. It was an optical thing that actually enhanced the light, the signal, the traffic signal above, and you could see the red, the yellow, and the green through this deal.
It reflected, yeah.
Yeah, it was an optical thing, and
Like
it had
like
little
a crystal
ridges.
or
It
something,
had little
yeah.
ridges in it, and therefore you could see. You know what I'm talking about, Ben?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I had never seen it before. I had no clue what it was, but it was an option on a 57 Chevrolet. Now, I don't know whether it was dealer installed or factory installed. It doesn't make any difference.
Cool.
It was very cool and very unique. And those are the kind of things in some of the cars that you have out there that make you go, I've seen a million 57 Chevrolets, but I've never seen that. Anyway, it was just
even on Mustangs. I mean, there's stuff that would have been you could buy from the dealer over the counter and stuff. And one of them, it's you don't really think about it, but where the glove box is, they actually had a tissue dispenser you could buy. So
I remember that. Yeah,
put that and you could just pull tissue. There's some pretty cool stuff out there.
Yeah, very unique things. It's always fun to go and discover new things at the car show like this.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago you had I want to say it was another 57 Chevy, but it was, if I remember correctly, it was built on a 58 chassis, because I looked at it and I'm like, something's odd about this car. And it was the windshield and the way the windshield wrapped around that wasn't 57 Chevy, and then kind of I read the notes on it, and was it a
hardtop or a convertible?
I think it was a hardtop.
Okay, so I had a black and white one that's called the Black Widow, and then there was another car, and I'm going to try and bring it back here maybe next year or after that, but there's actually a guy that has, I'm trying to think of what they call that car, but it's a Boyd Coddington car, and it's a roadster. So there's no, it's a 57 convertible that's wider, and it's been
I thought
almost looked stretched.
I thought it was real unique that it's 57, but it's not, and you really had to understand what it was. And I don't remember if it was the Coddington car or not, but it really caught my eye as a cool build.
Yeah.
Well, the Black Widow was done the same way. It was, and I think the builder, his name was Poteet, I think, something like that. But he did the same thing. He chopped the roof, and it was a little wider. So whenever you put both of them side by side, you could tell clearly. But if you just looked at it, you'd say, well, that looks different, or that looks, right. And you pick up on things. So.
Well, and from my perspective at this show, the cars that you bring, they are unique in their own right, whether they're factory originals, whether they're resto mods, complete redo, whatever the case may be. In my world, you take pieces and put all of these little pieces together in your own mind, and somehow that sticks in there, and you think, I saw that at a car show, like that little magic glass that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And you're thinking how unique that is. And some of that stuff you can bring into your own build or car that you
make
have.
it unique.
Yeah. Wheels are another thing. I mean, they're
Brazilian wheels out there. Yeah.
period correct wheels, and those aftermarket wheels that you go, man, I haven't seen that before. I really like those. And those are the kind of takeaways with the cars that you have.
Well, and then for you to find a Coddington car, I'm surprised at how many of those not necessarily just Coddington, but Coddington or even the Barris cars are actually in the Houston market. That old Tornado that showed up again this year at
Topwater.
At Topwater, the Barris car that was built for the Canadian Oil Company. I remember seeing that again. And, just for the fact that those types of cars are collected and stored here in Houston is pretty cool. And then, of course, then Ben's got all the connections to find all of them.
Do you ever have any rat rods? Do you ever bring a rat rod to the Houston Auto Show?
I've had some, and I don't have any this year, but I have had some, and I'm not partial to one thing or the other. I think I told y'all I'm a big Mustang guy, or I've been around a lot of them, and so everyone kind of thought, oh, he's a Ford guy, he's just gonna bring a whole bunch of Fords in here, But I'm not like that. I do have different cars from different makes and models that I enjoy,
in different eras too.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's like me. I'm a Chevy Corvette guy, but I'd be bored to death if I went to an all Corvette show. I want to see it. Yeah, all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there are places for Corvette shows, and I appreciate them. But in a show like this, where you're appealing to the masses, I want to see variety. And that's what Ben brings to the show.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll give you a challenge, Ben. Get one of those cars out of the Permian Basin Oil Museum, one of the Chaparrals, and bring one of those Chaparrals down here one year, because I'm sure that'd be a real attraction for people to come out and see.
I was thinking more along the lines of a gasoline delivery 18-wheeler, if you want to call it that, from the 1940s or 50s.
The Art Deco look?
Yeah. I saw one that was completely restored just recently. I'm going, wow, that was a Tonka kit back when I was a kid.
Or a good customized tuk-tuk.
A tuk-tuk.
Was it like a tanker truck?
Yeah, it was a tanker truck, and it was blue and white. And it had the tractor on the front and the 18-wheeler tank in the back. And
so there's something that my dad and I would kick ourselves all the time. This has probably been probably 10 years ago. The lake auctions used to be at NRG for a little while, and so we went, and it was kind of early in the day, and so we got there, and that's right around the time John O'Quinn, his cars, some of those cars were coming out, and they were selling them.
Yep.
And so they had a Rio Shell tanker truck that they were selling, and the thing looked brand new. I mean, whoever restored it did a great job. And so we got there and we said, oh, well, that thing's going to go for 40 grand or, whatever. It ended up selling for, I think, 12 or 14, and we didn't have a bidder's pass because we just got there, and so my dad and I, we always kick ourselves. We don't know what we do with a tanker truck.
Where would you store really something cool. like that?
It don't matter.
But how cool would
find
it be
a place for
it? I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, it's great to talk to you, and we look forward to your display this year. And it is the classic car collection that Ben always brings to the Houston Automotive Show. And I encourage you, even though you're going to go to see all the new cars, I invite you to take the time to look at the collection. Now, is it just in the lobby, or do you also have a booth inside?
It's going to depend on what happens Monday and Tuesday. I'm going to try and put some in the lobby, but if I don't put any in the lobby, or if I put very few, all the rest of them will be in Hall A.
Okay, very good. And to let everybody
Hall
know
A.
that Houston Automotive Show opens Wednesday, and the hours Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are 11 to 8, Saturday 10 to 8, and Sunday 10 to 6, and it's the new car show along with the Houston Boat Show together at NRG Center. Ben, thanks so much for joining us, my friend. We'll see you out there.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. If you'd like to get in touch with us, shoot us an email. The address here is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for the race card here on In Wheel Time, and Conrad has
today's day one, the Roar before the 24, so it's kind of the testing week for the 24 Hours of Daytona. Is started Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday they'll do the GTP cars. You know, and Jeff's a fan of the GTP cars because that's where the Cadillacs dominated for the years. And, you know, Corvette kind of went away as a factory program, but they're still there with some customer cars.
Yeah, independents.
And then next weekend is a 24 Hours of Daytona. Following that is going to be NHRA Gator Nationals open up on March 10th.
All right.
March 24th, the Winter Nationals at Pomona. On the 4th of February is the Busch Clash at the LA Coliseum. Excuse me. The Daytona Twin 125 qualifiers is on February 11th. And then February 18th is the Daytona 500. And then the whole run of NASCAR events until March 24th is when NASCAR comes back to Circuit of the Americas in Austin.
And hopefully it doesn't rain
again. And then Formula One begins on March 3rd in Bahrain, March 10th in Saudi Arabia, and March 24th in Australia. And I haven't heard what's the latest with Andretti. Has that progressed?
They're getting closer to becoming a team. There's more scuttlebutt and infighting with Toto and Mercedes and who's going to run it rather than just Andretti coming on board.
Yeah, who has a bigger diaper?
Well, no, there's infighting with the organization, not just Andretti. So that's all been the news. Andretti's a separate entity of that, but he's going to move forward with it.
Do you think they're going to come in as a separate team, or you think they're going to buy an existing? Because there's a couple of
they'll come in as existing. They'll come in as existing, but the others, now that they find out that Andretti has this momentum, they're wanting to ride those coattails. Yeah, and you got Alpine as an engine builder. You got Cadillac as a allegedly coming up with an engine building process later on, but it's going to be a couple more years, but he'll get it. I'm confident he will.
I wish them luck. And then IndyCar starts March 10th at St. Petersburg.
So lots coming up. And by the way, I saw a thing on NHRA that NHRA is going to start a nostalgia drag racing program, and they're going to have like 6 events. I think that I'm not exactly, the closest one to us is a distance away. They're going to start out at Famoso Dragway out there in California, and it's cars from the 60s and 70s.
And Famoso's been quite well known for doing the nostalgic drags through the years.
Well, it's going to be a real program, and they're going to actually televise it, and it's going to be really cool. And boy, I sure would like to be there for that.
Cackle.
And I think Ron Capps owns or drives one of those nostalgic funny cars from back in the day.
I'm sure they all have a little finger in it somewhere.
John Forrest drove them originally back in the 70s too, so I imagine he's got a couple of toys.
Okay, time now for Jeff's feature, and today Jeff's going to talk about Hyundai and hydrogen.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, where's the hydrogen station?
Well, we're going to figure that out once we get one.
Okay, yeah, that's it, one.
So you're probably asking yourself what's going on with this. Well, hydrogen, it is the lightest element of the most abundant chemical substance in the universe. Hydrogen is a colorless, odorless, tasteless, flammable gas that is the simplest member of the family of chemical elements. Now, all you chemists out there know this. I'm just trying to be part of it. Hyundai is going all in on hydrogen-powered cars following trials of vehicles in Australia as it aims to be a carbon neutral by 2050 and find new adventures of commercial revenue. Now, during this presentation at the CES show in Vegas, this was last Monday, or a week ago Monday, the South Korean automotive giant announced that hydrogen energy will play a prominent role in achieving those objectives. So they've got a lot of long-term stuff going on. Hyundai It said it will continue to find ways to add to passenger cars, trucks, buses. This will include trams or monorails, special equipment, vessels, power generators, and advanced air mobility, which I'm thinking is probably drones. They're all going to be powered by hydrogen at one point in time. Some already are. Hyundai also said that hydrogen as a fuel source makes more sense for SUVs for long-distance travel over the electrical vehicles that they're now making because of range and power. I'm not so sure about the power. Range, yes. Power, maybe. I don't know. You got to convince me. A major part of the Vegas presentation included commercialization of green hydrogen, Michael, as both a source of income and a way to reach zero carbon emissions. You're asking yourself how they do it. Okay. Well,
how do they do that?
It's created by splitting water using a process called electrolysis, producing only hydrogen and oxygen.
I thought Don just did that to get rid of unwanted hair.
According to the Department of Energy in Australia, we're back to international stuff again, they announced $127 billion worth of hydrogen investment in Australia. Hyundai said it's the world's largest market share in hydrogen-powered vehicles and is at the forefront of the hydrogen momentum. But the biggest issues facing adoption of the technology is being able to publicly fill and charge the vehicles, Don.
Safely.
Well, period. Safely or not, they just don't have the infrastructure yet. Another challenge for this adaptation is storing hydrogen. It's a challenge. The amount of energy generated is generally low, but compared to fossil fuels and the electricity, they've got to get their act together on that. But Hyundai is hoping that the investment into different sources with clean energy will make sense both economically and ethically. So Hyundai also stated that it's the only advocate of clean hydrogen. The United States published recently a strategy and a roadmap for accelerating the production, process, delivery, storage, and clean use of hydrogen to accelerate commercialization of hydrogen. Good luck on that. Check your EV listings now.
Explosions are us.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, rear end collision with a storage tank in the trunk,
and all of a sudden the tank comes loose and it's playing pachinko going down the highway.
And that's our last shot right there.
Yeah, you just think a Pinto exploded.
Yeah, the last use of hydrogen power.
Hindenburg, they tried to refuel that. It turns out it was an EV station and not a hydrogen.
Yeah, plugged it into the wrong thing.
Sorry.
Oh my God, yeah. No, I'm good. I think I'll just stick with gasoline until I'm no longer on the face of the earth.
Yeah, because gasoline won't catch fire.
They're trying to figure out more ways to be clean energy, the green hydrocarbons, and you saw that big debacle overseas where they had all the green people over there.
Davos.
But that was part of the talk of the green hydrogen. So
yeah, trying to force things on us we don't want.
Well, that's part
or
of it.
Need. It works just fine the way that it is.
Mm-hmm. That they want us to have, but they won't use themselves.
But the technology's there. I mean, at least they're going forward and looking at different ways. I mean, that's the whole process.
There's been some other dabbling in hydrogen-powered vehicles as well. I know GM had a series of Chevy Equinoxes that ran around the Washington D.C. area.
Forklifts,
that were
buses are running around. There's buses in Houston that are hydrogen. Mm-hmm. You have forklifts. You've got some commercial things going on.
I was going to say commercially, I could see where it would be much more feasible, especially delivery vehicles and that sort of stuff, where they got to go back to
the central fueling station.
Right, exactly.
And that's the other part of it. Where are you going to get it?
The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream our 3-hour weekly show on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com, and podcasts from your favorite podcast provider. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupe Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupe Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupe Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupe Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupe's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupe Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana? Stop in at the Lupe Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. Podcasting and streaming worldwide, it's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, Ann Renke, CEO of TIA, Transport Intermediaries Association.
Cool.
Ann has a career-long association with American transportation in the private sector and with the U.S. Department of Transportation as well. Very smart lady, and we're going to talk to her. Conrad will have the In-Wheel Time Car Clinic, and we'll also have this week's Auto News. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars. King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us on our live broadcast. And if you're listening or watching on the stream, we thank you for that as well. All right, let's just get right to it. Ann, I heard that you're pronouncing your last name Renke. Am I
That's good enough. Yeah, I'll take it. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And it's an honor to talk to you. Your career is really something, and I want to tell everybody, 16-year career in Washington, D.C., the office of CSX. You know who CSX is?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Trains.
Pardon me?
Trains,
yeah, exactly. She ultimately became vice president, government affairs there, overseeing the federal, state government, and community affairs departments. She received a BA from Rice University right here in Houston.
Right. Yay.
Yeah.
That's the most important part of my resume. That's it.
Go
right
Owls.
there.
Yeah, the Owls. So were you a fighting owl? Did you play volleyball or anything?
Passive owl.
I was on the sidelines being very encouraging as we lost to everyone in the Southwest Conference. That's how old I am.
So you're a Cowboys fan.
No, God, no. God, no.
Oh, Lord. Well, so, Ann, tell us what is TIA, Transportation Intermediaries Association? What does that company do?
Sure. So we're an association representing brokers and third-party logistics companies. And so who are they? They're what we call the middlemen, the people who are in the center of the supply chain between the shipper. So some of your members, I would assume, auto dealers, automakers on the one hand, and then carriers and other modes of transportation on the other. We're putting the two together. So we have members who would work with the GMs of the world. And then we have members who would do all kinds of things from hazmat to fresh food to what have you. And then they work to contract with the truck driver mostly. We're about 80% truck facing, and we have about 2,000 members. The logistics industry, it's about a $276 billion industry. It's one of those industries that no one knew about until the pandemic. And when people said, where the heck is my toilet paper and my cereal and wherever else, they're like, oh, wait, there's a whole supply chain. So we benefited a little bit from the pandemic in that regard.
Well, and I have to tell you, and you know this from being here in Houston for a while, that Houston is a huge port. We have a huge port here, and we also have a very huge rail presence here.
Yes.
Matter of fact, the call letters of KPRC Channel 2 and KPRC Radio, Cotton Port and Rail Center.
There you go.
And all of us have been caught up in some sort of, a train's blocking an intersection or whatever.
Yes.
But the trains in and out of Houston is tremendous. We have two major trail yards up on the northeast side of town. And if you were to fly over them, you go, oh my gosh, I had no clue that it was that big. So we're very much in tune with the transportation part of your job, especially here in the Houston area. So do you have any, you clearly have something to do with shipping as well, because once the ship gets here, you got to get it to wherever else it's going to go.
That's right. And so, I was thinking about our interview and our discussion today and how we align. And so part of it is the customers that we have, right? The automakers, et cetera. But part of it too is we're really interested in what the future of transportation is in terms of, is it going to be automation, right? So you are looking at automated vehicles. I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts about that. We're thinking about, what does automated trucks do for us? Does that work from a safety perspective? Since we're the ones hiring the truck, is that actually going to benefit the shipper and the end user to have an automated vehicle? There's lots of pros and cons, and we can talk about that. And then the other part, which I think I caught a little bit of, is this EV mandate, which, as you know, in California, God knows everything bad happens, it starts in California. They have this EV mandate to have zero emissions for trucks by 2045. And I'm sure you guys have thoughts on that as it relates to not only trucks, but also autos.
Well, yeah, exactly. Here in the Houston area, everybody's going, wait a minute. They're ultimately not going to have somebody behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler. Sometimes I think that might not be too bad.
An 80,000-pound 18-wheeler.
Yeah, exactly. We had an incident here a few weeks back where some 18-wheeler driver, I guess, lost his mind on drugs or something, parked the thing in the middle of the freeway, and then ultimately had to have a one-armed bandit from the police department open up the entire side of the 18-wheeler to drag this guy out of there after the dog went after his head, and they let it loose. A 4-hour major freeway shutdown. So, there are goods and bads when it comes to 18-wheelers and automation and that sort of stuff. But that's the way things are going, though, because behind the scenes, and I don't think most people really realize that, is the fact that they are working on a driverless tractor trailer, and all over the major centers where transportation is key. And let's just use Amazon. They must have 24 Amazon facilities here in the Houston area alone.
Huge.
And there is a perfect example of something that could really use an automated system.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that's exactly right. You're tugging on the point, which is there are trade-offs. So there are going to be amazing things in that, there's not necessarily sufficient driver population as drivers retire. A lot of truck drivers are getting older, and they're not filling back up those ranks to the extent necessary. So, here's a way that we can magnify the population by having an automated sort of opportunity. On the other hand, what is the risk profile of the driving public if they know that next to them is a 80,000-pound truck that doesn't have a driver, right? I mean, it's the same thing as if you've ever been in a driverless car or seen a driverless car, you sort of feel like you're worried, right? Even if it maybe is supposed to be more reliable than human, you're still a little concerned about it. It's hard from a public perception to accept that.
Well, and then the driver, people do dumb things when there's a driver in the 80,000-pound truck. How dumb are they going to be when there's not somebody in the 80,000-pound truck? And how is it going to react to the stupidity of people? Sorry.
You're exactly
Well, how many car radio talk shows do you get on that you're able to chuckle at some of this stuff? And you have to have a sense of humor.
Listen, we're in a brave new world, right? And the fact is, there's such tremendous things. We can't be gloom and doom. There's lots of fabulous things to look forward to. However, all of this comes with trade-offs, as we talked about. I mean, the other thing, too, is you probably know that The trial lawyers are always looking for new industries to pursue. And so if we, the broker, contract a driverless truck, well, and something were to happen, because we all live in the land where something happens, does that mean that we get sued because we made an unsafe choice by using a driverless truck, right? I mean, these are kinds of the considerations. So unfortunately, there's probably going to be some kind of regulatory angle or litigation angle here in the future, even if there are a lot of benefits.
Yeah, and then there's Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer. He's going to sue the daylights out of everybody.
And will he be standing on a driverless truck?
That's right. So, Ann, let's talk for just a second about you mentioned it, about the shortages of products, and I'm not talking about microchips coming in from China. I'm talking about, seat covers or car polish or whatever it may be. We see trains going up and down the track. What happened to the transportation industry when we had that whole pandemic shutdown for a couple of months?
Yeah, we call it the perfect storm. So it was all kinds of shortages from top to bottom. So driver population shortage was first and foremost, actually getting trucks moving. Then there was a mineral and supply shortage, meaning the trucks were actually, like, to make the components of the trucks, that was lacking as well. And then getting the commodities, they were stuck in China in many ways, right? Many times they were stuck there, or they were stuck in other places and we couldn't get to them. It just was kind of like from top to bottom. There weren't sufficient people in a warehouse. There weren't sufficient people driving the truck. There weren't sufficient commodities to carry. There weren't, right, and on and on and on. And so it took a while for the supply chain to figure itself out, right the ship, so to speak. I'll say one other thing. No one was getting their hair cut. No one was going on trips. No one was prevailing upon any services. So what did they do with all their disposable income? They just bought a bunch of stuff. I'm sure you were sitting at home and you're like, you know what? I hate my dining room table. I need a new dining room table. Or I hate my carpet. I'm going to get a new carpet. Whatever it was, everyone was buying stuff. And so the volumes were unprecedented. We have never seen the amount of volumes in 2021 and 2022 ever.
Well, and it's not surprising, and I hadn't thought of it that way, that people were at home. So what do you do when you're at home?
Shop on Amazon.
Well, shop on Amazon.
Wayfair, wherever.
But you buy all of that stuff online or have the services like carpeting. No, you don't think about it. Where is the carpet made? How does it get here? You don't think about that. You go to Home Depot and there's a whole big rolls and rolls and rolls of it. I'll have that. Put that in there.
So one of the things you've now mentioned about 3 times was the shortage of drivers. Does your organization do anything trying to help grow the amount of drivers available to the industry?
Yeah, I mean, what we can do is be supportive. Since we don't own trucks ourselves, we just contract to hire them. We can be supportive of, for example, the USDOT did a pilot project allowing men and women 18, under 21, basically, to be registered as truck drivers across state lines. Right now, they're not allowed to, so they started this pilot project. And quite frankly, it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, if you have an 18-year-old who's going to Afghanistan or what have you, and they can't drive a truck to another state, that doesn't make any sense, right? So we tried to help to expand that population. And then there are other things we can do too, which is supporting their various schools that are teaching CDLs, and so we're supportive of that. I mean, from our perspective, whatever we can do to have the next generation go into these lines of work. I mean, selfishly, we want them to be logistics professionals, but we also want them to be truck drivers, because otherwise that's, 80% of our members are relying on them. So that's what we try to do, is just be supportive of those opportunities.
Where do you get an education in transportation, whatever you called it?
Logistics.
Logistics. Where do you get an education in logistics? Because that is
besides Rice University.
Besides Rice University, exactly. But seriously, I don't know. How would you get into that sort of thing?
Well, see, that's exactly right. So that's part of our education campaign. TIA has its own education resources, but these are typically people who are already in the industry. But to get into the industry, we're actually working with various universities. For example, University of Tennessee at Chattanooga they have part of our education to teach their, undergrads to have a logistics degree. But there are other programs that are famous for their logistics programs. University of Denver is another one. And so these schools, University of Wisconsin, University of Michigan, they all have supply chain schools. And so we think it's probably kind of next step for us is to see how many universities we can work with to provide our educational resources if they choose to. I mean, there are already that have a ton of logistics professionals and resources. They don't necessarily need us, but that's where we think the next generation of folks is coming from.
But why wouldn't it be more focused on, or at least partially focused on, community colleges, bringing it back home to those that aren't going to have a 4-year degree?
That's a great point, and I think we are sort of agnostic on whether it's an elite university or if it's a community college. Quite frankly, whatever educational resources we can provide, we don't have. We are not snobbish about it. We're happy to provide anything that we can, because ultimately that helps our profession. And you may or may not experience this with what you're dealing with, but there's a lot of fraud in the industry. There's a lot of fraud in the supply chain. And so if we have a really professionalized group of folks, of logisticians, as they call them, that ultimately benefits everybody, including the reputation of our industry, but also the end user and the end consumer.
Yeah, because a degree in logistics and supply chain is going to be much more valuable than a degree in French Renaissance art.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
Wait, does somebody have a degree in French Renaissance art? That makes me think of Groundhog Day.
I think of croissants.
Croissants, that's it.
But part of it, I was kind of amazed because I did not know until we started talking to you, and even today, even more, the amount of information that I don't have regarding logistics and the supply chain and things. Stuff comes in on a boat, somebody takes it off, they put it on a truck, and it comes to Walmart. That's what I think a lot of us think about. We don't understand the intricacies.
All the steps. No.
That there may be 25 or 30 people involved to do that.
Well, it's also got to pass through customs on the way too.
Well, not only that, but I mean, you got to get it off the boat. You got to load it onto the containers. Then you got to get it to the trucking company, and then you got to get it. There's just
to the fulfillment center, and then they deliver it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and that's why if let's say you're Walmart, why would you work with a broker? Well, the fact is because we are that transportation department. So you just listed like 7 steps. And so our professionals are the ones who can figure out the best path forward from, the boat to the store, and what the lane should be, how fast we can do it, who's the best carrier to use, all of that stuff. That's why they turn to a broker as opposed to having an enormous transportation department themselves. They're going to go to us and say, just take it off our hands. We don't really, you're the ones
you're
who
the
know.
professional.
Yeah, you're the subject matter expert. Depend on them to facilitate
and
all of that.
Does it matter that if it's maybe like a refrigerator size and maybe a price point versus maybe like a pack of napkins or a pair of socks or something? Is there like a priority on what gets sent, or is it all loaded together and moved?
No, so it really just depends. I mean, we have what they call truckload, which would be one truckload filled with the same thing. And then there's less than truckload, LTL, which is a service that essentially is, all right, you think about like the milk truck that has to make a lot of stops. It's sort of the equivalent of the milk truck that has to make a lot of stops, like the local truck that has, all right, we're going to stop here and drop off the napkins. Now we're going to stop here and we have a pallet of, Mallow bars. I don't know why that just came to me, but, I love Mark Mallow. Right? So that's how it works. Whereas there's a service that you can provide. And then you think about like oversized and overdimensional freight. For example, those wind turbines that you see all over Texas. Mm-hmm. Well, there's specific equipment for that. So our members would know, all right, I know which carriers have that specific equipment. And so I'll be able to work, to get those things moving. Whereas the wind turbine people, they don't know. That's not their business. Their business is making wind turbines. And so they rely on us to say, all right, we're going to take that, and get it going.
So is there one point that there would be a truck line maybe developing a type of transportation for that wind farm? or maybe an oil field company that has a specific product or machinery that needs to go on a specific truck? I mean, is that all part of it as well?
Yeah, I mean, so we have a member, actually, he just testified in Congress this past week about the supply chain. The company is Tucker Worldwide, and they have a pharmaceutical business. And so there's very, very specific trucks that you need to move pharmaceuticals. Right. For example, the COVID-19 vaccine had to be refrigerated at a certain temperature. And so he had access to all of that equipment because of his experience with pharmaceuticals. So my point is, if you have a dedicated customer and that's what they do, and they work with a broker and they say, I know I can trust you because I know you've got access to that equipment, it sort of takes a load off their mind. They don't have to worry about it. And then that, it allows us to do what we do best. I think one other thing I'd say is all of this stuff that we're talking about, the various steps, we collect data about it. And so that data then becomes really meaningful to help us know how to do it better and how to sell our services to others who may be in the same business.
And how it impacts the end user's cost, because transportation is also considered part of the cost of purchase.
That's right.
And now with all of this mess that's going on in the Red Sea, and instead of passing through the Suez Canal in 3 days, now they got to go around the Cape Horn through South Africa. That's adding time and
money,
costs,
which
to
translates
everything.
to money.
And a delay in the Mallow bars.
And a delay in the Mallow bars.
Mallow bars.
At least the vanilla portion of the Mallow bars coming out of Madagascar, right?
That's exactly right. So we provide such a tremendous benefit. And again, I know that a lot of people don't think one red second about where anything comes from that they buy at the store. But I do think that there has gradually become an awareness, again, because of the pandemic. And we didn't have access to stuff that we always had access to.
Toilet paper.
I'm sure you had like that. We had bizarre, I have nothing wrong with the country of Turkey, but we had this weird Turkish paper towels. It's like, why am I having Turkish paper towels? Where's my bounty? Right? I mean,
exactly. That's when you start thinking about these things and you start wondering. And like I say, I just in talking to you and looking at the background material, it's just like, I never knew that. Never thought about that.
Well, and to go back to something you mentioned just a few minutes ago was the truck that delivers multiple different things to people. Somebody has to plan how to load that truck properly.
That's right.
So as they hit each stop, that's the next thing coming off the truck. So that's some of the logistics you've got to facilitate.
Now, the real reason that we called you today and wanted to talk to you, besides the Mallow bars and Rice University Owls and that sort of thing, are you really pulling for the Baltimore Ravens today?
No, God, no.
Well, where are you located?
Look, I have nothing against the Ravens. I did spend some formative years in Texas, so I have a sweet spot for the Texans. Go Texans, right?
Yeah.
They had a blowout. That was incredible. But I am a Redskins / Commanders fan, but we've had 35 years.
Sorry to hear that.
Of mediocrity. I know. God help us.
Well,
we're on the ascendancy, though. We're on the ascendancy.
Yes, right.
Listen,
when you're at the bottom, it's always looking up.
And any time that you want to come on the show, you just let us know. We don't even have to talk about TIA. We'll talk about Mallow bars and the Texans.
And as they say in Texas, bless your heart.
Well, by the way, my son is, I have a 7-year-old son who's so obsessed with Hot Wheels. It's unbelievable. And I kept calling, I was like, Mommy's got to be on the Hot Wheels show. And he's like, oh, God. Sure.
What's his name? What's your son's name?
It's Wyatt.
Wyatt. What's going on, Wyatt?
That's it.
Shout out to Wyatt.
And it's been a real pleasure, a real blast. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you. And anytime you're in Houston, Texas, come and see us and be a live guest in the studio.
I will. And let's go to Ninfa's together. And
Hey.
Yeah. Well,
Lupe Tortilla.
We're Lupe Tortilla fans.
Oh, that's right. That's one of your sponsors. So
Yeah.
That's okay. But we'll treat you to Tex-Mex, so come on down.
And a Mallow bar.
Yeah, that's it. And thanks again.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You do the same. How much fun is that?
Yeah, very cool.
Okay, time now for Conrad's Car Clinic.
What?
It's the car clinic time. What are we car clinicking today?
Well, we're going to talk about your car when it's freezing outside.
All right, that's good.
You know, the first instinct before driving anywhere may be to let your car warm up, but that might not be such a great idea. According to experts, the engine only needs less than a minute to reach all of its temperatures and getting all the fluids flowing
Doesn't
correctly.
matter about age of the car? Or
Doesn't
the
really
car?
matter
Okay.
about age of the car. So once the fluids get flowing and everything's working, which happens, shortly after you start it,
Sort of like me this
you're
morning.
good to go, right? The other thing I wanted to talk about is your windshields. So when it's this cold out, now we didn't see it quite this cold, but I've had some frost on my car. Well, when you have these little marks in your windshield, the little chips and stuff, you got to be real careful how you first off clean the windshield, and second off how you defrost the windshield. So if you put your defroster on max get it temperature and then crank it up, there's a high probability that little rock chip is going to spread to a big long crack, and that's going to go across the windshield, because you got to remember a windshield is basically two pieces of glass with a piece of plastic between them.
The film.
So if you heat the inside glass up faster than the outside glass expands, and that will basically run those cracks. So instead of cranking it up to 90 degrees to heat the inside windshield up, just set it on 60, 65, let it eventually come up to temperature. It really doesn't take that much longer to melt the ice off your windshield, because you definitely want the ice off your windshield before you head on down the highway.
A plastic credit card will get the ice off the
plastic
windshield
credit
pretty
card,
quick.
yeah.
Full tilt boogie. That's
When I lived in San Antonio, one of these little cold fronts came through. One morning, I backed out of the garage, and that rock chip went all the way across, just hit the cold air.
Because you can just kind of hit the flex in your car as you're backing down the driveway,
makes a very
that
unique
crack will
sound.
run here.
Oh, yeah.
So, being careful with how you defrost your windshield is important in these days.
That's a very good information. I
Thank
like that. Yeah, that was good. And it'll also make you have to change that cracked or damaged windshield quicker by doing it that way. So if that's the case and you've got insurance, then crank it up to 90 degrees.
And those people out there that can fix the rock chips, do it, because my opinion is it's probably stronger than it was before, because they pull all the air out of it and fill it in with a glue.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Allegedly.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's Conrad.
Yeah, that was Conrad. All right.
Because nobody else wants to be.
Parts customer who bought oil not recommended by his vehicle's manufacturer cannot pursue a negligent misrepresentation claim against the Canadian dealership that sold him the oil. An Alberta judge has ruled. Justice George Shannon of the Provincial Court of Justice rejected an attempt by Jamal El-Rafi to hold Calgary BMW responsible for catastrophic damage to the engine of his 2006 BMW M5 sedan. The decision, said El-Rafi, failed to produce evidence the dealership made an untrue, inaccurate, or misleading representation that caused his misfortune, nor was there sufficient evidence that the wrong oil caused the damage. The suit alleged that in 2019, a parts department employee at Calgary BMW advised El-Rafi to switch from 10W60 oil called for in the owner's manual to the less expensive 5W30 oil. El-Rafi bought the 530 oil at the dealership, which an independent mechanic used for the oil change. However, the decision said the employee merely told El-Rafi accurately that BMW USA had transitioned to 5W30 and that BMW Canada might do the same. Well, it wasn't good.
I thought they were
probably
sealed
a
systems.
$25,000 engine.
Aren't they sealed systems?
Yeah.
In dismissing the suit, Shannon cited the absence of testimony from the independent mechanic, and it turns out that the guy hadn't changed the oil in a long, long time. And when he did, he went to 530, and it plugged up the whole thing, and it over-revved the engine. It did all sorts of things and all sorts of ugly damage.
I'm stupid, and I want to blame somebody else.
Story.
Yeah, I drive an M6.
A quick break now. You're on the N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Back after this.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupe Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupe Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupe Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupe Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupe's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupe Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupe Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere.
Welcome to the worldwide broadcast of the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, Pennzoil's Michael Thomas joins us to talk about lubes, cold weather, and EVs. Plus, we'll have the upcoming events calendar, and Mars reviews the all-new Mazda CX-90.
All right.
Howdy along with Mike out of this world, Mars. King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you could join us today. Thank you very much. And joining us right now, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael Thomas with Pennzoil. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. Can you guys hear me clearly?
We hear you loud and clear, and you're looking good. Right. Mighty fine, too. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, fellas. How you guys doing this morning?
Well, we're doing very well. Where are you?
I am on the west side of Houston, over in the Richmond area.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Richmond, Texas?
We're waving at you.
I think where you guys at? Because I talked to you guys 2 years ago. Are y'all out in the woodland somewhere?
No, we're out in Sugarland.
In Sugarland, you're right around the corner.
That's what he said. We're waving at you.
You should have come over here.
You know what? I was asking, if I could just zoom over where you guys were and sit down and gas.
I'll tell you what.
Come on, we'll wait.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Okay, let me get in the car.
Exactly.
Because we're hopping, skipping, a jump if you anywhere. I'm serious. Sugarland is just 3 minutes
7 miles away. I work in Rosenberg.
Burritos on your way.
Right. And this communique goes all the way around the world and back, so we can get the one-on-one. So, Michael, want to talk to you today about lubrication, obviously Pennzoil, and I want to talk to you about cold weather and also EVs. So, where would you like to start?
You know what? First, let's talk about cold weather, because you know our weather right now in this area is downright ridiculous.
Yeah, cold, man.
Not just here, everywhere from what I was seeing.
Yeah, it is, yes.
Now think about it. We'll jump right into the oil section. Oil is definitely your main lubricant. I tell people it's the blood life of your vehicle, and it needs to be changed. Don't leave it in forever. And thank goodness, I look at it this way. People say, well, no, some of the old guys like myself say, well, you mean thank goodness we all using synthetic? I want to use conventional. Every vehicle on the market now comes with a synthetic blend or full synthetic, right, which is a very good lubricant, good starting in cold climates. Lubricates very well, cling to the metal well. longevity. That's one of the main things. It's an overall better motor oil. And some people I've talked to on my technical hotline, well, I just don't want to go buy. It's a little expensive. I'm going to put conventional in my good old vehicle that says synthetic blend, and that's that. Warranty voided, case closed, and sometimes your engine will let you know that you are doing something foolish.
Bad choices. You know, I know that the Cadillac North Star engine calls for pure synthetic exclusively, and if you don't use a pure synthetic, it'll start turning on check engine lights on for various components.
You just said it, big fella, because it'll be like the 4th of July on the dashboard, because the way these sensors are so sensitive now, it will let you know. So yes, motor oil as a whole, synthetic, of course, every automaker is using it because, again, like I said, it is, and not trying to downplay conventional motor oil. It's great. It was great for years, but synthetic and synthetic blends are far better lubricants, hands down. Can you really find just pure conventional motor oil anymore? I don't even know that that's available much on the market, is it? You can. I know a couple of places out there that still have 10W40, 20W50 sitting on the shelf. It's in a small area. It doesn't take up too much shelf space anymore, because think about it. The automakers, American automakers, as well as the Japanese automakers, have stopped using something that thick over 30 years ago. Right. So yes, it's out there. You got places that have it on the shelf just for those folks who still want some of that thick stuff for something, 40, 50 years ago.
And you mentioned thick stuff, the 2050, the 1040, and viscosity. People, I don't know if they truly understand what viscosity is. It's just a fluid's resistance to flow.
Bingo.
We simplify it as thick. But now you're looking at, in the industry, a 20 weight oil is somewhat the multivis, but 20 weight oil is somewhat the standard, and even some of them are playing around with a 16 weight oil.
And and not to mention the 0W8, as well as 010. Now, all these are coming in the very near future, but you are so right. I still talk with some people who still think thicker is better, but I have to explain the clearances and the tolerances in these engines now just don't allow that type of thick oil flowing through somewhat the veins. I said the veins of your engine. You can give that engine a cardiac arrest trying to push through thicker oil throughout the engine to lubricate.
So when you say it's a 5W30, the W is winter. The W stands for winter.
A lot of people thought it meant weight, but you're right.
No, it
meant winter. Because you think about it, when we had just single weight oils back in the early 60s and 50s. So that W came about as winter. And I keep it in layman's term. It's the 5 weight is the viscosity of the oil down in the crankcase before you start
when
it.
It's cold.
And that's right. And it flows well to the top. And as it gets warmer, that engine gets warmer. I would say, I'm not a chemist, but the molecules which are in that motor oil makes it thicker, which changes it to a 20 weight oil. But I tell you, if you look at now, majority of the vehicles are going to a 0W20.
Right.
That's pretty much the oil. And some fellas have called up and said, that's like water. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's like Crisco or the liquid cooking oil.
All I could think of is Singer sewing machine oil.
Yeah, exactly.
Or that, what is that?
It's like 3 in 1.
I just ran. Yeah, 3 in 1.
3 in 1 oil. I still have some of that in the cupboard. I've had for at least 40 years.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
But the manufacturers, the OEMs, moved to the lower viscosity oils is all driven by CAFE ratings.
CAFE.
They're of the opinion that the lower the viscosity of the oil, the greater the
fuel
economy
performance
of the engine.
Because the oil itself isn't slowing down and making the engine work.
It doesn't create horsepower drain because it's trying to push a heavier oil. But the question about that is protection, because it's, to me, I always tell people oil, and I simplify it, it does 3 things. It cools, cleans, and it protects. Really, there's other things it does, but in reality, it cools, cleans, and protects. And when any one of those features stops working, that's when you have problems. That's why you want to change it often enough so all three of those features can do their job continuously.
You are correct, and a lot of people get worked up now because the oil change intervals are a little longer with our oil life indicators or changing, stating to change the oil at a certain percentage. It could be 7,000, it could be 10,000. Had a fella call me briefly a couple of years ago. He's had nothing but Buicks all through the years, and he bought his newer Buick, and he was going bananas. He said, "Look, young man, I'm calling your hotline. I just don't know what to do." I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I got 10% left on my oil to get my oil changed, but I got about 7,000 miles on. I'm not used to keeping my oil in that long."
And then you see manufacturers like Volvo, which is wanting to go 15 and 20,000 miles.
Yes,
and it's not uncommon for Toyota to say and Honda to say 10,000 miles either.
And here's Don Armstrong with a 23-year-old Corvette out there that may change the oil a maximum of 2,000 miles with a brand new Wix filter. That's just who I am. That's what I do. I always change the oil.
Yeah, I bought mine about between 2,500 and 3,000. I'll get it changed.
Yeah.
Wow. And guys, look at me. I have a Mark 1 with my Wix filter. I love it. But you know what? I may not put 500 miles on that car a year. But you know what I do? I still change that oil once a year just for good.
That's what I do.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
Every November is when I change the oil in the Corvette.
Well, and then you go through the hoses and the belts and all the wearable parts, the bushings and things. That's a good opportunity.
And living in Houston, humidity is the humidity is a contaminant to the oil, and over time you want to make sure that if you're not driving the vehicle frequently enough where it raises the temperature up to boil out the water, you need to change the oil more frequently if you're not driving very often, based on time, not miles.
Does Pennzoil have a Mobil 1 counterpart?
When you say a Mobil 1 counterpart, you're meaning like a full synthetic motor oil?
Yeah,
100% synthetic.
The Corvette demands.
Yeah, so like with that Corvette spec, the 40. Well, they had that spec for many years, the 4718 Corvette spec from the mid 90s. But yes, we have our Pennzoil Platinum, full synthetic, made with natural gas. And if you remember, you guys, we were talking about back about 2 years ago, our base oil is not made from crude oil. It's made with natural gas, which has been proven to be a darn good base oil. I like to brag a little bit, guys. That same base oil that we have, it won the Indianapolis 500 as well as NASCAR Cup Championship, the car, and Formula One, and pretty much Formula One, all using our Pennzoil full synthetic made with natural gas. So that's our oil that we know that can compete very well when it comes to Mobil. And hey, championships, it's been proven all last year. So that's what we have, and you can pick that up anywhere. Pretty much your Walmarts, AutoZone. They have that full synthetic.
And there are oil change places that have nothing but Pennzoil.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Firestone, Jiffy Lube, of course, which is affiliated with us.
It's just the smart ones, though, right?
That's smart. Yes.
Well, and then again, Pennzoil, you guys have a base of operation with you here in the Houston market as well. So supporting Pennzoil is supporting Houston employment.
Oh, you know that's right. Headquarters is right here in good old Houston. So yes. So that's getting back. That's our oil, and it's factory fill. I guess you guys know it's factory fill in every Hellcat, Demon, few other manufacturers out there. So it's a darn good oil.
Yeah. So let's talk about EVs.
Yeah.
Do EVs need oil?
Let me tell you, I would look at it this way, because we got a few lubricants. They need coolant because you got to keep those hot batteries cool.
Yep.
So we have coolant for there. Think about it. We have grease that are used for the motors. There is some oil lubricants for the electric motor, but it's not the same type of oil that we're flowing in our good old ICE engines.
Right.
Definitely. So it is we have a whole nother division that's taking care of the EV line out there. I'm still an internal combustion type of guy, but definitely, that's a market that is growing by leaps and bounds. So we as an oil company have our coolant, lubricants, and greases that's specifically designed for electric vehicles.
Because
Interesting.
a lot of people, though, you talk to them, they'll say, it's an electric vehicle. It doesn't need any oil or anything like that. Well, there's bearings, and there's coolant.
Yes!
Like I say, there's a lot of things that you got to think about with that electric motor.
And as well as the lubrication can't transfer electricity, so it has to be.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be
Like a dielectric.
yeah, well, it's not necessarily dielectric, but you don't want to have it move the electrons through the lubricant as well. So it's that's why you said it's a very specific lubricant, because it has to protect the movement of electrons within the vehicle, as well as the coolant, because I know the coolant for an EV is very specific as well, so it doesn't transfer the electrons.
That is correct. You just can't go out here and buy your regular ethylene glycol from the parts store and say, hey, maybe I can. No way, Jose. And then you have to, of course, you got to bring it to specific technicians that can take care of it.
That understand what they're doing, so they do it correctly.
Yeah, not get electrocuted.
That's right. That's right.
That's one big thing that you got to look at.
Don't stick your finger in this wall socket. That's the way I look at it.
And that's why all those guys have that big old wooden 2x4, so they can pry them off the vehicle if they do get juiced.
Yeah, that's,
Do they get that from the Snap-on truck?
Yes. They get it from the Lowe's distributor.
And guys, think about it. Not going into another area. Think about our fire department. They have to be totally trained now when dealing with EV vehicles in an accident.
Well, any first responder, really, yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So does Pennzoil have a website that I can go to and plug in my car, and it'll tell me what Pennzoil weight I put in the car?
You most certain and filter as well. Go to Pennzoil.com.
That's it.
Pennzoil.com. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. I said I use a Wix filter. I did all my research, and all the Corvette guys use Wix filters, so that's what I went with.
Well, I have been using Wix filter for a long time, and like I said, we have filters, but we have Purelator who takes care of our filter line.
Oh, I did not know Purelator did. Really?
Yeah, because we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We
just take it over.
Just take it over. Take control of the wheel. That's the way you do it.
So yes, but a bunch of us old gearheads, we kind of love our Wix filters. So.
Yeah, I know. It's just it's the go-to thing, and the funny thing about it is you don't see them advertised anywhere.
No,
it's kind of like a
secret society,
underground secret society. Yeah, exactly.
It is.
Yeah.
So what year is the Mach 1?
You know what? This is one that was personally built for me at we're here in the Houston area, Lone Star Ford. It's a 2019, not 19. I'm sorry, time fly. 2009.
So he's old school like me. Yeah,
it's 2009, but it was put together what they call a dealer Mach 1 that was exclusively done at the dealership. A lot of people said, some of my Mustang buddies said, well, hey, we don't remember one that, because it wasn't factory, but it was designated by a few dealerships in the U.S. that could put that package together. So we're talking Shaker Hood. We're talking Shaker Hoods, Shelby suspension.
So kind of your own Copo Mustang.
Exactly. You go there and tell the boys to do what you want. We're talking Hearst short shift, different transmission, exhaust, Flowmaster. It's something. It really is.
Sounds
something.
like a good sunshiny day.
Exactly.
You need to give us a tour.
And because you're in Richmond, you need to come out to Lupe Tortilla.
Like that red one that's in that picture right there.
That's the one.
You need to bring it to Lupe Tortillas.
Tailpipes and tacos.
Tailpipes and tacos.
Yes, man, and that's my old Porsche because a lot of red stuff. I got to tell you guys, I'm gonna show you this. 44 years ago in Virginia, that's me rebuilding an engine in my '69 Camaro.
Oh wow.
Time flies when you have fun.
Oh, man.
Michael, it is great to talk to you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us today. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. hope to be on again. But you know what? I'm gonna be visiting you guys.
You know where you
need
you need to sign up for the Hot Rod Tour of Texas.
Absolutely.
Come with us.
Is it the tour of Texas? Because I've been looking at the Hot Rod one for going around the country.
Yeah, Hot Rod Magazine. But we got one coming up at the end of April. Registration is just right around the corner. And go to hotroddtouroftexas.com.
Starts in Victoria.
It starts in Victoria and goes north. They're going to wind up going to go up to Fredericksburg. It's going to be a 3-day event, and you need to come with us. You'll love it.
You know what? This is on my calendar. I'm glad you guys told me. I'm serious.
All right.
I need to get the car out. It's going to be nice and warm. Let's do it.
We're waiting on you, brother.
You said Hot Rods of Texas.
Hot Rod Tour of Texas.
And before you come out, change your oil.
I changed the oil right in November. In November, I changed the oil and put it up.
There you go. There you go. But you'll be there with 250, 300. I don't remember what the max is this year.
It's around that number, yeah. Other hot rodders.
So join us, and we look forward to seeing you and hanging out.
You know what? It's a plan.
All right, brother.
Definitely.
Thank you, Michael.
Take care.
Take care of yourself.
Thanks. Be safe.
Thank you. How fun.
That would
Another
be fun.
good interview.
Yeah, exactly. All right, time now for the events calendar. You got 60 seconds. Are you ready for that? Did I spring it on you too quick?
Right here.
Okay, he's ready.
So this evening at Saturday at the ranch at the Harley Davidson in College Station.
He's ready.
Is Saturdays at the ranch, and it's an open free cruising. Cars and custard at Ritter's Frozen Custard on Fry Road in Katy. That's a free cruise-in that starts at 4 p.m. this evening. The Texas Showdown Freedom Rally starts at.
Glad you
starts today, and it's off of FM 908.
Could you not read your writing or what?
Yeah, I can't read my typing here.
No worries.
Coffee and Cars at Century Square in College Station is tomorrow starting at 11 a.m. Also tomorrow at 7 p.m. is the car show at Home Run Dugout off of Grand Boulevard in Katy. It's a Japanese-focused cruise-in. Oh, you ranked my call.
And don't forget Houston Automotive Show, and that is starting on Wednesday, runs through Sunday at NRG Center. Tickets available online, and we are going to be there broadcasting live next Saturday from 10 until 1. Time now for this hour's car review. Mr. Mars has the Mazda CX-90.
Yes, the CX-90 that's new for 2024. It's actually replacing the CX-9. Now, this vehicle, because of the 3 powertrain options, you can work it out to where there's actually 11 different trims for this vehicle. And I'm going to tell you what we had. The trim level we had was the 3.3 Turbo S Premium Plus package all-wheel drive vehicle.
Wow.
That's the name of it.
That's a mouthful.
I'm excited.
I'm telling you, and it's the top of the line for this midsize SUV. Now, the CX-90 is actually 7.5 inches longer than the one it's replacing, the CX-9. And you can get it in a 6, 7, or 8 passenger configuration.
Wow.
We had the 6, so we had the 2 bucket seats up front, we had the 2 seats in the middle, and the back row, the third row, is actually for 2. It's contoured. Instead of trying to make it wide enough for 3 people, they've got it contoured down to where it's for 2 people. Now, the outside of it, you're going to find a lot of the features.
It is built for 2 people.
Yes,
not
it is.
for 2 people.
For 2 people?
For 2 people.
It's built to accommodate 2 people.
2 people. Thank you. I just want to clarify that.
So you're going to find a lot of things you would expect in this type of vehicle. LED lighting all the way around. It does have the adaptive headlights that I really like. Rain sensing wipers. Got a power folding side mirrors that are heated, but they also tilt whenever you put it in reverse. So that I like that as a good safety feature that you should get. Power liftgate that's hands-free, got a power moonroof, and we happen to have the 21-inch alloy wheels that are optional on this vehicle. Now, when you get to the inside of it, Napa leather seating across all 6 seatings. The front seats and the second row seats are heated and ventilated. The like I say, the third row is a contoured to accommodate 2 people much better. It has a 12.2-inch center stack in the middle of everything. That's where you're going to find your Mazda nav system, your convenience controls, It also has a 12.2-inch digital LED gauge package for the driver so they can keep up with everything that's going on. So you've got USB ports in it. You've got wireless charging. You also have a Bose, very nice Bose 12-speaker audio system that really fills this vehicle up. Now, you get up under the hood, one of the 3 power options, the 3.3-liter turbo. One thing Mazda's done, if you have a turbo package, you have the turbo engine, you are going to get the mild hybrid boost system, a 48-volt system that comes with it. All the all-wheel drives, all the turbo engines have that. So it's 340 horsepower, 369 pound-feet from the naturally aspirated engine with a turbo on it, and you have an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, this vehicle, because properly equipped and in the right drive mode, you can tow 5,000 pounds with this vehicle. EPA says you should be looking for about 23 miles to the gallon in the city, 28 out on the highway, and combined 25. Now, I drove this vehicle 360.2 miles, and I got 25.2 according to the onboard calculator.
Not bad.
Now, I thought that was pretty good because I really liked the power band of the turbo. There's no turbo lag or anything like that. And the e-hybrid boost system that's on it, it really helps whenever you're taking off. You don't realize it, you don't really feel it, but it really provides a low-end torque thing that you can use. One thing I will say, this does run on premium fuel. It's required premium fuel, so you got to allow for that. Transmission shifts quick, it shifts smooth. This vehicle, as I said, is a little bit longer than its predecessor, has 3 drive modes, but it's compliant in the road out on the highway without being rough. You feel very, very firm, very situated, like you're very confident in the way the vehicle feels. Now, the base model price for this is $39,595 to get into a CX-90. However, go up 11 trim levels, and you're looking at a base trim price of $59,950, and then you get to the MSRP as tested as $61,920.
Wow, that was good.
Yeah. Now, if you're looking for something to compare it to, you're looking at the Kia Telluride, starts at $36,190. The VW Atlas, $37,995. The Toyota Highlander, you can start at $39,270, and all of them have different trim levels that you can come up to try and get something in more equal to this and in the same price range. So it's new from Mazda. It's got a lot of features to it, and if you're looking for something in that 3-row and you're only looking for 6 people and you want all 6 of them to be comfortable, this would be something to look at.
Perfect.
And that's my review of the 2024 Mazda CX-90.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mars, for that. We appreciate you. U.S. auto safety regulators are investigating Chrysler parent Stellantis' handling of a February 22 recall of about 17,000 Pacifica plug-in hybrid minivans in the U.S. after new reports of battery fires. Agency says it's opened the investigation known as a recall query. Q-U-E-R-Y.
Yeah.
Who the hell says that word?
They
Who
do.
uses that word?
They
I worked
do.
with a guy one time that a guy that used words like that. He'd write a script, and I'm going, nobody says that. Nobody says that word. So you did okay in memorizing the dictionary when you were in college. But don't do it here.
Mr. Thesaurus.
Query. To review the effectiveness of the recall, understand the root cause of the battery fires, and investigate additional reports of Pacifica battery fires, an estimated 16,741 vehicles could be affected, according to a NHTSA document made public this past Thursday. So, Martha, I think the car's on fire out in the front yard.
I smell something burning.
I smell something burning.
Are you cooking again?
It smells a little plasticky to me.
This program is available 24/7 on iHeartRadio. Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and on InWheelTime.com. 30-minute podcasts available from your favorite podcast provider. The In Wheel Time Car Talk show continues right after this quick break.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupe Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupe Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupe Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupe Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupe's. It's located just off I-10 of the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupe Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana? Stop in at the Lupe Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere.
Streamed and podcasted to your transistor radio. Bedroom, bathroom, automobile, around the globe, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, we talked to Greg Reimer, CEO of Surge Battery Metals. Plus, we'll get you caught up on the stories making automotive news headlines this week. It's all just ahead in this portion of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, slumping behind the screen back there. We always can use the information that is provided in that noggin
when he's awake.
King Conrad DeLong. Yeah, that's right. And then we always need more Jeff Zekin, too. Always. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday for our live broadcast. If you're listening on a podcast or something that is recorded, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate you.
In all of the countries.
In all of the countries around the globe. What, 50 some odd? Is
something
it?
Like that.
51.
51 countries now around the world. So there you
countries.
Go. So wherever you are around the globe, thank you for joining us.
Send us a hey. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Greg Reimer is president and CEO at Surge Battery Metals, a pure play lithium company focused on a flagship project called Nevada North Lithium Project in Elko County, Nevada. He is an accomplished leader who has served as an executive at one of the largest Canadian utilities and has held several senior government roles in British Columbia, including as Deputy Minister of Energy, Mines and Petroleum Resources. This guy's smart, and he knows his stuff. And very good Saturday morning to you, Greg, and thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning. Happy to be here with you.
Well, thank you. Are you still in Canada?
I am, yes.
Where are you?
In British Columbia, Canada.
British Columbia. Okay, very good. Well, we have you have another Canadian guy that we know from Houston Autorama, and he's a big car guy, so I hope he's watching, listening to us today as well.
I'm sure he is.
At any rate, let's talk about the Nevada North Lithium Project in Elko County, Nevada. What is it? I know that lithium batteries are a big thing when it comes to EVs these days.
Right. Well, the Nevada North Lithium Project is exactly that, a lithium exploration project. We've been working hard on this project for approximately 3 years. Really, the elevator speech on the project is we have high-grade lithium, probably the highest grade lithium clays in the United States. and it's near surface in mining-friendly Nevada, and most of all, it's a made-in-America product.
What does lithium look like?
Lithium's a mineral, and it is the largest component of batteries for EVs.
And why is it so important a portion of the battery? Why have automakers designed the lithium as a catalyst, I guess, in these batteries, and why is so much of it being used?
Well, it's a key component in the storage of electricity in the batteries, which allows for the significant range that goes along with battery development as we've seen it.
Didn't we start with batteries, the lithium batteries in our watches? Back in the 80s.
Yeah, lithium batteries are used for everything. I mean, they're in your battery lawnmower, your weed eater, your iPhone, and your EV.
How much lithium is used in, let's say, a battery on your EV?
Oh, it's a fairly large amount, a fairly significant amount, because it's the largest component of the battery and a heaviest component. I don't have off the top of my head the exact number there, Don. So
do you measure it in weight? Do you measure it? Yeah, you measure it in weight. Okay, so it take for one car, it takes a lot of lithium for the battery that goes in a car, typically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I said, the battery is the most expensive part of a EV.
Yeah, and how long does it take to mine enough lithium to sell to a battery maker?
Well, it depends on the source of the lithium. In our case, we're not in production yet. We're at the exploration stage, and in our case, the lithium is mixed in with clay. And so we have a lot of lithium near surface. So it's a process of extracting, kind of strip extracting product and separating the lithium from the clay. It's new technology, and we're working to develop that along with others. There's others that are further ahead than us, and it's very exciting.
I can only imagine the kind and expense of the equipment, not only to get it out of the ground, but to separate it.
Right. I mean, there's a project about 180 miles to the west of us that a company called Lithium Americas is developing. Their Thacker Pass project, and they're in construction now, and they're well in excess of $1 billion in terms of cost.
So
Greg, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, are there other states in the U.S. that have this opportunity where there's lithium in the state or underground or close to the surface? And is it expensive to mine? I mean, you're not just going to strip it or dig it and then it's going to be there?
Yeah, there's different types of mining lithium. In our case, as I said, it's attached to the clays, and the clays are so far concentrated in Nevada. Other types of mining around the world, not just in the United States, but there's hard rock and there's brine where the lithium's in water solution. So it really depends on the process. We see our process as being cost effective, especially with our resource close to surface.
How do you find lithium? How do you know that it's there? And
that's a question.
Yeah, in this North Nevada project, Elko County.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not a geologist, but our geologist found this. He was out kind of staking and doing some samples with his wife, who's also a geologist, on her 65th birthday. So, he took some samples, had those samples analyzed, and they were promising. And so he staked the area. We came along and bought the staking from him, did some surface exploration. And surface exploration is simply, digging down a couple of feet, putting the dirt in a bag and sending it off to the lab to be sampled. So, we got some, eye-popping results from that, and then we decided to start drilling and determine whether what we were seeing at surface really permeated subsurface.
So it's just not like a Geiger counter or what they call a mosquito that you could just go over and as a reaction to it, like iron ore or something.
No, not at all. No, you've got to take the product and have it analyzed in the lab.
And more like oil exploration then.
Somewhat.
And the product you deliver to the battery makers looks like what?
Well, we will measure our product in lithium carbonate equivalent and develop a battery grade lithium.
So is it like a white powder? Is it a?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So is this turning into the 1849 gold rush in California?
Absolutely is. There's certainly a lot of activity.
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
We're all getting shovels. We're going to dig up your backyard this afternoon.
That's right.
And, and who else out there in the industry is producing lithium at these volumes? What other countries?
Well, there are countries all over the world, and in Argentina, Chile, China. You know, most of the lithium consumed, 85% of the lithium consumed in the United States has some connection to China, whether it's mined there or processed there. And you know, the Biden administration has taken a decision with the Inflation Reduction Act to try and build a made in America, you know, lithium or EV battery supply chain, and that's all the way from, you know, getting the lithium out of the ground to producing batteries, so that it's not reliant on one jurisdiction wholly.
So we find the lithium, we know that it's there, and we send it to China to be processed, or do we process it here?
Well, there's only one lithium producing mine in the United States, and that's a small mine in Nevada.
Okay.
So all the lithium is really exported. And for example, you know, if you had a hard rock lithium mine in Canada, you'd send your product to China to be processed. And so that's
wow.
There.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I would want to get in the lithium processing business. It sounds to me.
Well, I mean, that's what the federal government in the U.S. is trying to promote. It's trying to promote a made in America supply chain from source to battery production.
Yeah.
And that's what the Inflation Reduction Act is all about.
So these other lithium mines around the world are owned by who?
A multitude of people. Some state-owned, some owned by companies in China. They've really got behind this in the last few years and really taken control of the resource throughout the world.
Yeah, we had talked to a guy from Portugal that did cobalt mining, and he was telling us that 70-80% of the cobalt mining operations worldwide are currently owned by the Chinese as well. So they're trying to.
It just doesn't seem like that's a healthy way to go, is to put all of your eggs in one basket, i.e. China.
That somebody else controls.
Right, because it would be very easy for them to say, we're going to cut off the United States. Where would we be then? We would really not be in a good spot, I wouldn't think.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've seen recently geopolitical issues affecting supply chains, all over the world, whether it's, China's decision a while ago to restrict graphite exports, or what we've seen in the Russia-Ukraine war with restrictions on wheat exports. So, having a critical mineral and a future, important mineral to adoption of transportation or clean transportation, and having to reliant on some other countries is not a good policy position for the United States to be in.
So where do you see this going in the future? Are we working to be independent for that product? Yeah, self-sufficient. Is it 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, we're going to have more of this in other states?
Oh, I think so. And I don't think that, governments have to decide, but I don't think that a particular jurisdiction needs to be self-sufficient per se. Mm-hmm. But I think that a jurisdiction needs to be sufficient enough so that they can ride out the kind of ebbs and flows of worldwide markets and not be reliant on, say, one country or one jurisdiction.
Are there any in Canada?
There are mines being developed in Canada.
Yeah, okay, good.
Producing. Yes.
Awesome.
But I know that they got a lot of oil up there, too.
They have some oil, yes.
Yeah.
And we're a friendly jurisdiction.
Yes, and we like that. We like our Canadian friends a lot.
Love your whiskey.
We just need to get the pipeline in.
Well, yeah, I think part of it's there, and I think that that's probably going to happen pretty soon.
Yeah, let's hope.
So how is lithium, now that I bring it up, how is lithium transported? Is it transported as a solid product, or is it liquefied and piped places?
Likely rail transport as a solid product, absolutely.
Oh,
and is it a toxic material while it's being transported?
No, not at all.
And it's not flammable either?
Pardon me?
There's no flammability to it?
Not in transportation, no.
All right, we're digging up your backyard.
So you don't have to worry about the ground catching on fire while you're digging it up.
No.
Okay.
There's none of that. So where do you stand today? I know that you've discovered it. It's there. It's right below the surface. Have you started mining it yet?
No, I mean, we're, it's a bit of a process to go from discovery to mine production. You've got to kind of prove your resource. You've got to get kind of environmental permits and, get through all that process. So, 2024 is going to be a big year for us. We're just in the process of doing what's called in the industry a maiden resource estimate. So that'll be kind of technically estimating, how much resource we have. And then we'll go through and do a preliminary economic assessment, which basically says, yes, with your resource, your high grade near surface, and with this size of resource, you can have an economic mine. And so from there, we'll drill out the rest of the resource and then do what we call a bankable feasibility study, which is the kind of last step before going into kind of financing the mine and developing.
Very cool.
Greg, you're a very smart guy, and I'm very impressed, and certainly not anywhere close to your level of knowledge when it comes to this sort of stuff. Where did you gain all of this knowledge, besides the fact that you're 23 years old now?
Well, I've had the benefit of having a very diverse career. My bio said, I was the Deputy Minister of Energy, Mines and Petroleum Resources in British Columbia here, which essentially is the most senior bureaucrat in that department. It's kind of like in the Assistant Secretary of Mining or Energy in the U.S. Kind of equivalent. So you end up picking up a lot of stuff. I worked in an electric utility. I've been a regulator in the oil and gas business also. So with 63 yeyears of life and working knowledge, you pick up a few things every now and then.
Yeah, that you do, and I'll tell you that you're one smart guy, and we wish you the best of luck in this endeavor. So, what is the next marker that you're reaching for in the short term?
Yeah, the short term is really just getting our mineral resource estimate done, and then our preliminary economic assessment. We feel really fortunate, not only to be in this business, but to be in this business in the United States and be part of what folks in the United States are doing in terms of creating this made in America supply chain. I think it's, from my experience in government, I applaud the government for what they're doing. It's certainly the right thing to do.
The burgeoning development of this, you're in the right place at the right time. What do you drive? What kind of vehicle do you drive?
I've got a BMW i4 on order, so an electric vehicle on order. So that's they've released two-wheel drives of that vehicle, and they're just in production on all-wheel drives. And up here in Canada, I need an all-wheel drive.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, you don't have any hot rods or anything, do you? Stuffed in the garage?
Well, I've got a 3 Series BMW convertible. That's as close to a hot rod as. We can appreciate that.
Well, Greg, it's a real honor and pleasure to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much, and we need to keep up with you. So, does Surge Battery Metals have a website or anything that we can?
Yeah, absolutely. SurgeBatteryMetals.com. We trade on the Toronto Stock Exchange on the over-the-counter market in the U.S. In the U.S. NILI, NILIF, and in Canada under NILI.
Hey, I honeymooned at the CN Tower back in the day. Yeah, we did that.
Mm-hmm. Greg, take care. Stay warm up there. And again, we thank you very much for joining us this morning.
You guys have a great day.
You do the same. Greg Reimer.
Very cool.
I know. And once again, learned something new that I had absolutely no clue about.
He's got an EV and he's got a connection to lithium, so that's great.
That's it. Awesome. And I'm taking my lithium medications
every
day.
Boy, yeah. Okay.
And there's that as well. Conrad's Car Corner is what the time is now here on the In Real Time Car Talk Show. Yeah, what's in the car corner? This is a new feature that we're
going to talk about some massive car scandals that have rocked the industry through years.
Love that. Oh, boy.
I've got 9 of them. We're going to talk about 3 of them.
This is kind of like The Crown.
Do I have I got the wrong one. Go ahead. I'll find it. I got the wrong one. Go ahead.
So, with so much revenue at stake, automakers are highly incentivized to find ways to beat their competition and gain market share. As an industry, maximizing profits by reducing operating cost often is the course that they take. Sometimes the result benefit is the automotive customer will have improved technology, performance, and safety. But occasionally the effect is a disaster. And some of those disasters are out there, and some of it's caused by one manufacturer attacking the other. So in that, General Motors had some advertisements to kill the Chrysler Airflow. You got to remember, back in the day, the Chrysler Airflow was quite a inventive car. They had hired Orville Wright to build a wind tunnel, and what they found out that the Chrysler products were more aerodynamic in reverse than they were going forward. So with Orville Wright, they created the Chrysler Airflow. Well, General Motors came out and said that, Chrysler stole our top secret plans in developing the Airflow and producing the Airflow, because the Airflow was actually a production vehicle. And then after that didn't work, General Motors came out and said, this car is totally unsafe for the market. And I always thought, well, that's kind of dumb. If that was your top secret project and it's unsafe for the market, how does that work? Because Mary wasn't in charge back then.
All right. Boy.
Ba-dum-ching. That was one of the big scandals, and that was through the mid to late 30s that was going on as GM was trying to shut down the Chrysler Airflow production. The next thing that happened was the Tucker. Now, Tucker was a very inventive car. It was a rear-engine car that used basically a helicopter engine to propel it, very underpowered in what it was. But one of the other things about the Tucker is, as you steered the front wheels, that Cyclops light in the middle of the hood kind of turned with it, which was somewhat illegal in some states to have moving lights on the vehicle. So Tucker actually had, and General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford were all attacking Tucker because, in his day, Tucker was in the 40s what Elon Musk is now in the 270s.
Innovative, yep.
Somebody was bringing out something new and innovative, and all the manufacturers are out trying to shut them down, which they did through a bunch of different lawsuits and stuff. So that was another one of the scandals that rocked the industry, as Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler brought lawsuit after lawsuit against Tucker and ended up shutting them down. Great movie if you've never seen the movie Tucker.
It is good. Very
well
good
worth
movie.
seeing to understand exactly what was going on.
Yep.
And then the third of this week is the Pinto fire. Pinto was Ford's entry into the expanding segment of compact cars. The car was an early success. They sold 352,000 Pintos in 1971. They sold 544,000 Pintos in 1974.
Cute little car, actually.
And actually, it had a quite a fatal flaw that Ford knew about before they produced the car, and that was the placement of the fuel tank in a rear impact could leak. Didn't take much to spark gasoline, could cause a fire.
And it did.
And there was quite a lot of loss of life. And the Center for Automotive Safety requested NHTSA recall all Ford Pintos. All Ford Pintos due to the gas tank design and defect that made the vehicle susceptible to the fire. And it was low to moderate speed impact collisions. It wasn't even a high speed impact collision. So that's the first three. We'll get on to a few more next week. We'll talk a little bit about Daimler, some more about some other Ford interesting stuff, and some Volkswagen scandals.
Okay, sounds good. Nissan has told suppliers it is considering moving U.S. production of the next generation Rogue crossover to Japan if the automaker cannot lower its purchasing costs. The Rogue, Nissan's best-selling U.S. model, is built in Smyrna, Tennessee, and Kyushu, Japan. The compact crossover accounts for 1/3 of Nissan sales in its largest market. At a meeting at Nissan North America headquarters in Franklin, Tennessee, on January 11th, automaker told suppliers it expects a significant reduction in the cost of parts for the 4th-generation Rogue, scheduled to begin production late in 2026. Nissan asked suppliers for an average of a 20% cut in parts pricing. People briefed on the matter told Automotive News some suppliers were asked to slash prices by up to 30%.
Oh, boy.
Losing the Rogue would be an enormous blow to Nissan's 6 million square foot Smyrna assembly plant, which employs 6,700 workers.
That's a lot.
The Rogue accounts for about 40% of the factory's annual output, or nearly 200,000 vehicles. Nissan sold 271,000 Rogue crossovers in the U.S. last year, a 46% increase over 2022. Matter of fact, my daughter bought one. Nissan's U.S. factories in Smyrna and Canton, Mississippi, currently at 52% combined capacity utilization, need volume products to operate profitably, according to Sam Fiorani, Auto Forecast Solutions Vice President. Nissan has asked suppliers to submit price quotes on the new Rogue by the end of this week. Nissan North America will present its manufacturing cost plan to Nissan Motor Company executives by the end of January. In February, Nissan should determine whether the next Rogue will continue to be built stateside. And speaking of that, Tesla had a blockbuster 2023 as its shares more than doubled in 12 months, but 2024 is starting on a different note, with Elon Musk's electric vehicle maker off to its worst start to any year of its existence.
Oh, boy.
The company has lost more than $94 billion in market valuation in just the first 2 weeks of 2024. Not hard to figure out why, as the Austin, Texas-based EV maker has been pounded by a barrage of negative news and about face on EVs from the car rental giant Hertz Global, yet another price cut for its cars made in China, and signs of rising labor costs. All of this comes in the face of slowing growth and demand for EVs, especially in the U.S.
That may be week 3 of my automotive scandal.
Yeah, it very, very much could be. So I tell you these things because I think that it's important that we all understand that not everything is rosy in the EV market these days, and a lot of jobs depend on rosiness in the EV market.
Yep.
And I'm not an EV fan personally. I respect them. I got it. It's just not right for me personally.
Hybrid, yes. EV,
exactly.
Not so much.
Yeah. Have that union contract work out for you.
Yeah, Hemmings.com sold cars roundup this week includes a 1959 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. A 59 Coupe de Ville. Do you know how big this thing?
Boat that was.
I love it.
Cow.
This is an ocean liner.
Tub it out.
Yeah. What would you expect that car to go for?
I'm going to go big. I'm going big. I'm going $36,289.
I'll say 45. Mars?
25.
$38,850, and it is a beauty.
Missed it by that much.
It is a 2-door, and it is huge, and it's a hard top, and it's bad to the bone.
They always are.
And it wouldn't fit in any garage.
No.
I tell you what, my dad had a coupe. Well, my dad had several Cadillacs, but you park them in the garage. This is back in the 60s, 70s. The big bumpers, they're not the Dagmars. They weren't that big, but the front bumpers, they actually touched the wall in the garage.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. And my car, a 1969 Chevy Camaro, silver. It looks like an RS. I don't think it's an SS, but it sold for $109,200.
See, I would have guessed that.
Holy Toledo.
I'd have been in the 40s or 50s.
Yeah, if you watch Meekum Kissing Me, it was amazing how some of those Camaros priced, and the resto-modded ones that were the modified
Didn't really watch a lot of it.
Quick break now. We'll be right back here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show.
Rev your engines and set sail for the ultimate surf and turf. The Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th at NRG Center. One ticket gets you into both the auto show and the boat show. See your favorite car and boat brands under one roof. Learn about the latest electric vehicles and test drive one with Evolve Houston. Board your dream boat and check out the bass fishing demos. It's the Houston Automotive Show, January 24th through the 28th. Buy early and save at automotiveshow.com.
You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupe Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupe Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupe Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupe Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupe's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Lupe Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana? Stop in at the Lupe Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere.
Well, that's it for this week's In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, and here is your invitation to follow us on Facebook. Give us a like. Tell your friends about us. Share our stuff, if you would, please. We'll keep you posted on all things automotive all week long, including award-winning interviews, new car reviews, upcoming events, cruise-ins, racing, and car, truck, and SUV goodies. When you need a car fix during the week, you can find the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show 24/7 via the iHeartRadio app. We live stream this show on Facebook, YouTube, and on InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 a.m. Central Time, except for next week. Daily 30-minute podcasts are available from your favorite podcast provider. That's where we post a new episode every day.
Yep.
The In Wheel Time Marketing Advertising Advisor and Video Technical Director is We Always Need More, Jeff Zekin.
We do.
For the guy that's on his cell phone like a junior high school girl, Mike Mars, Mr. Know-It-All, King Conrad DeLong, and Chief Engineer David Ainsley, I'm Don Armstrong. We hope you join us for our next live broadcast from the Houston Automotive Show, the New Car Show.
Yep.
Saturday, January 20th, next Saturday at a special time, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on all of our In Wheel Time live outlets. From all of us here at the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, have a great weekend. Stay safe and warm out there. We'll see you next week.
Go Tex.